song review, dear listener. There's the filthy capitalist option, as Sori says. 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
They do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
Buy merch indeed, and y'all shall lead them
to buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
Oh.
A little bit chippy there. So everybody sees how we coming. You know what I'm saying? Coming with that metal. You know what I'm saying? With that iron. You know, that iron can't take like tote iron.
That's what they say.
Was told to shoot out, stay low, and keep firing. Keep extra clips for extra shit.
Okay. All right, Vinny, enough of the violence. You live by the sword, you die by it. So let's
Why
go.
try it?
All right, you guys. DJ Ben is up with a special stream for us tonight.
DJ Benjamin.
Yes. As you can see, we're going to have some Sylosis tonight.
Sylosis in this bitch.
All right.
One of the most overlooked, underrated bands you will see in your lifetime is Sylosis. This is a band, almost every single time we've reviewed them, they're always at like 9.8 or some shit like that. Just consistently crazy band, doing consistently good work.
Crazy stuff.
We got other stuff too on the way. Don't worry. Wilderun is great. Wilderun is great. But Hinayana is next level.
Yeah.
Hinayana is what it looks like.
I can't wait to hear that one.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Shout out to all my Rum Billions. Shout out to all my Twitter Billions.
Okay, I'll fix that. Can you just chat with them for a minute? I was having a little trouble with this Instagram thing. I wanted to post the link. Oh, there it was. Okay.
It's there.
Alrighty, you guys. Let's read his intro. Hexen Indefinite Archetype. DJ Ben says...
Why don't we just read what
DJ Ben
he said in general? This is for the whole stream or just that first? Okay, this is for everything. Okay, sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. Go ahead. Negative vibes in the house.
You sound unprepared. This stream is
a lot of that going around. People showing up to televised events unprepared and
Imagine.
Shit. Bringing the country down to ruin.
Imagine.
Unbelievable. We continue. Go ahead.
This stream is a thank you from me, says DJ Ben, to the village. All the songs tonight are my personal community-inspired picks. I'm super excited when somebody features a song on a stream that I absolutely love and that I never knew about before. The songs I have chosen tonight are from the same albums where I first heard them. Thanks to the Village and the Alliance picks, the bands featured tonight I had never heard of before until you chose them for a Vin and Sori stream. Oh, this is a cool idea. And in all the cases, I was quite impressed or completely blown away.
I love my community, bro.
Yeah.
I love my community.
Thank you, Village. And even if your name or alliance doesn't appear on this stream, keep sharing your music. You never know the positive effect your song choice might have on us. Video description timestamp, you morons! No, he didn't say morons. All right, actually, give me that timestamp.
The current time, it's 10:38 timestamp.
10:38.
10:38. So we're timestamping for you people.
You know what would be cool? Is if you sent me a text with the timestamp while I'm reading. So then it's there for me.
Oh, I see.
Because it's hard for me to like remember it and then keep reading. You can still anyway. Okay.
Yep.
So first song is the Hexen Indefinite Archetype. Kellandros won a pick on an alliance stream that happened on the last day of July of 2023, and that song was Nocturne or Nocturne.
Ben is too Canadian to call you a moron. This is so funny though with Neil though because he made a mistake. Ben is too Canadian to call you are moron.
Oh no!
But I am too American to not insult you for that, Ben.
It's a public disgrace.
Ben is too Canadian to call you are moron. I love it when people try to insult people's intelligence unintelligently.
Oh no! All right, so he says, "Oh no." And it was an absolute masterpiece from the album Being and Nothingness, an album which I played every day at least once for a whole month after that stream. Wow!
Oh my God.
I also featured Stream of Unconsciousness from the same album for my 2023 birthday beatdown. Tonight we'll be doing
birthday beatdown. I forgot about that.
Yep. Birthday beatdown. Okay, tonight we'll be doing Indefinite Archetype from the same album. Let's check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Did you send me that timestamp?
Nope, I told you it's 10:52. Next time I'll send you the timestamp in the text. That's what you were saying?
Yes,
Okay.
I appreciate that.
All right, I'll do that.
10:52. Okay. All right, let's do it. Let's check it out.
All right, here we go. Pretty sure Ben is a timestamp guy.
Yeah, he is.
So
That's why I'm making sure I get it for him.
all right, here we go.
I don't want to.
Not Wednesday Addams. Not
You said
the Who,
10:52.
not the Morning. Hexen Indefinite Archetype. Let's do it. Indefinite Archetype by the band Hexen. What you know about that?
Yup.
What you know about that? Okay, so
Heavy knuckle dragger, as some would call it. I'll take that.
That's what did Ben Webb used to call it?
Yeah, knuckle draggers.
Caveman music.
Knuckle dragger.
Knuckle dragging caveman. Vin, you idiot. Oh man, I love heavy music, man. I love music that, like, when you go to a live show.
I remember this album art from when we did Kellandross's.
There's nothing like going to a live show and people know where all the breaks are. They know when the beat's about to drop.
Mm-hmm.
The chunk. Definitely, like, being in a live show with a bunch of people throwing up the lighters or whatever, or the phones or whatever, is beautiful. But, like, there's nothing like seeing a bunch of metalheads together and everybody looks, because everybody knows the drop's coming, everybody rocks at the same time. It's a beautiful thing. It's kind of emotional. If you're not part of the subculture, you won't get it. But yeah, everybody knows I like knuckle dragger metal. That's where we are.
Lyrically, it was interesting. It's got some interesting concepts. Blind and go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Blind and indignant, you won't see that your own statements are contradicting. It was interesting because we, like, when we were taking our walk yesterday, we were talking about the concepts yesterday or the day before. We were talking about the concepts from that other meeting. This is getting weird. On Sunday, the meeting that we had on Sunday. So anyway, just when we were walking and we were talking about, like, you know, contradicting statements, or people have,
Who did we meet with on Sunday?
all of our friends.
Oh, the Bible boogie.
Yeah.
Oh, well, why'd you
because
say that?
I thought it was, you weren't supposed to announce that thing like that.
No, I talk about Bible boogie all the time.
Oh,
Go
okay.
ahead.
All right.
So I was like, what are you talking about?
Can you turn the red down? Just like I look like I'm on fire on my face. Okay.
Probably because you're going to hell.
Well, no, I think my face was fine before I was sitting next to you.
No, like literally the red is like down. It's like a -18.
Okay, so I'm going to hell. That's what it is.
Just keep.
Okay, so the concept of presuppositions that, you know, we all have that dictate to us our belief systems, and a lot of us, I guess, don't even realize that we have a belief system because it's so natural to how we think that we don't actually realize that everybody is walking in degrees of faith in different things. So, so the blind and indignant, you won't see that your own statements are contradicting. I think that can happen to all of us. Like, I mean, even like go ahead.
Well, he says, what is perceived as subjective reality?
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna be dealing with that, you know, in the Bible boogie, among other things. But the idea that what you perceive as subjective reality is an extremely provocative statement.
Yes, it is.
That a lot of people, when you talk about presuppositions, like believing what you see is a presupposition, right? In other words, it's like.
It is. No, that's true.
We think, you just take for granted that the things that you see in your perceptive abilities and what and reality are like, there's like a one-to-one correlation between actual reality, or as Kant would say, the thing in itself, and what you're looking at. But the facts are, we know at the base level that's not true. So one of the things we talked about was like the concept of sunrise or sun setting.
Yep.
Well, the sun doesn't rise or set. It doesn't actually move. We're actually revolving around the sun. But phenomenologically speaking, when we look at it, it appears as if the sun is going up and down when it really isn't, right? But so that's your perceptive ability. That's your ability to perceive something. If you don't know the science, you will presume, like most human beings have, that the sun actually moves up and down when it doesn't. Another one would be the flat earth. Now, I don't know what's going on with like modern flat earthers, but the concept of flat earth itself is, again, phenomenologically speaking, the earth, when you're on the ground, the earth looks flat. It looks like, you know, it's a flat surface where we built stuff on it. But we know, scientifically speaking, that no, that's not the case, right? So what's fascinating is, like, we know that's true on, like, the fundamental level, but then, like, we still take what we perceive to be true as, like, the be-all, end-all, instead of interrogating those ideas and saying, well, yeah, this is what it looks like to me. That doesn't necessarily mean that's actually what I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. And so that's just a crazy, that's a really provocative line.
The Mandela effect, too, is an interesting concept to sort of dive into. You know, when there's a whole bunches of people that remember seeing something specific, like the guy on the Monopoly box with his little circular, and then they're saying that was never there, but mm-hmm. we all remember it to be there. Mm-hmm.
The Luke, I'm your father one.
Although, I'm wondering if the Monopoly one, where he had that, McDonald's used to have those games, and maybe that he had that thing on that, and so we assumed it was, maybe we did the crossover, I don't know. But there were so many other ones. There was Luke, I'm your father. There's like so many different ones where...
The Luke, I'm your father one was the biggest one to me.
Weird.
Because it was like, all growing up, it was Luke, I'm your father.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like, no, I am your father. I was like, okay. So, yeah, that's a real freaky thing.
Yeah, the Berenstein
Bears versus Berenstein Bears or whatever. Yeah. Marilyn Manson is a Christian now, so his music will change. Well, if he is a Christian, that's good for us because we're Christians. But I didn't know that. Shout out to Marilyn Manson. That's a hell of a journey, like literally, quite literally. Blind and indignant, you won't see that your own statements are contradicting your very existence. Take a hint. What is perceived as subjective reality? Well, that's the other thing too, is that, you know, when you're on an election year, a lot of the first line becomes extremely true. Like, you won't see that your own statements are contradictory. And like, there was a debate recently. Supposedly that was a debate between Trump and Biden, and like. Anytime you see those situations, like, those are not real debates. Mm-hmm. Like, I've watched actual real debates.
I forgot that they were even calling it a debate.
That's not a real debate, what we saw a couple nights ago. And I'm not going to, quote, take anybody's side. I mean, everybody pretty much has the same perception of how things went or whatever. As a person who listens to a lot of debates, to me, it was not as crazy as people were trying to make it out to be. But I understand, like, I'm not going to get into all the whatever. But it is interesting where... Because this happens with political debates, like the blindness and the hypocrisy that both sides have, like they don't even, it's like they really don't recognize that they have those inconsistencies within their own argument. And all of us, left, right, center, whatever. But it's like when you get, when people are in a debate or an argument or a disagreement, like one of the biggest mistakes people like me make is to just look at the logic and say, oh, this logic breaks down here, this person is wrong. Instead of thinking to yourself, well, maybe they're not operating on the logical plane right now. Maybe they're operating on the emotional plane.
Yeah.
And those feelings are real. Whether or not you can take emotions out and make a logical argument with them, like, I get it. But one of the things I've had to learn is those emotions are real and they're part of the human person. And to tell somebody, well, ignore how you feel about it and just look at the pure logic is almost like denying their humanity. And so, like, that's kind of the situation that we're in right now, like, quote unquote, politically. We're just in this very, like, unsure time when there is a bunch of unease and unrest and fear. And the people that are trying to get us to give them power are stoking those fears or are trying to quell those fears by saying, I'm going to fix everything. It's just a really crazy time to be alive. So, like, when people are arguing, a lot of times, like, you don't get to see, like, what they're really saying because you have to ply through all the other, quite frankly, nonsense that they're saying in order to get to the truth somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I hate that.
The path that I chose, but it's yours, lay wasted away by denials and chores, determined to prove that confusion is vice in an endless abyss of limitless sacrifice. Numbers don't lie, and neither do I. Thus spoke the ancients in patterns and die. That's a good line. This guy can write his ass. Collective unconscious, much less a dream, to understand life is to attain ability. What once was certain now is lost to the hands of the victims of the albatross. All right. Light and knowledge easily skewed became the misconception that guides your view towards life. So it just looks like, as a whole in society, that we've kind of lost our bearings, and everybody's trying to figure shit out by themselves. And when everybody has to figure things out by themselves, that comes with a lot of consequences.
Yeah.
Because like now, like this is like, I'm sure the powers that be, if they could have done it over, probably would have like not allowed us to have social media, because of the way that social media now impacts the news.
Yeah.
You're no longer able to
dethrone them.
Yeah, you're no longer able to just lie with impunity to people.
Yep.
Because now you've got other people, and so now people have to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's one of the problems that like the cable news, like CNN and all those guys are like tanking.
Yeah, I mean,
they're tanking like crazy because like nobody believes them anymore.
No.
Those methods of control aren't there anymore because people now have their own ways to consume media and to interpret what we've seen.
we couldn't verify anything before either. It was like you just had to take whatever the news gave you. It's not like you could research anything. If you wanted to get anything done, you had to hire like a private investigator for the stuff that you can do a Google search for now. So
That's the problem. And then like people talk about fact checking. They're like, oh, you know, CNN should. It's like everybody at their fingertips has a fact checking mechanism.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like so.
And it's instantaneous. Like if you had to wait weeks to get in, I mean, remember when you like try to print off pictures, it take weeks. Like everything took so long to get the information, you could probably just lose interest in it. But it's so instantaneous. He says something crazy and then, or he lies, and then you can play back him saying it 15 years ago. It's like, and it's so simple to find. You don't have to, it's not like, remember back in the day, everything was in tape. So it was like going through all these tapes and footage. Now it's like you like type it in and you can find the footage almost immediately.
You can find the exact moment.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like,
and that's, and look, that can get you access to more truth. It can also skew the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so for example, like the Biden, situation, mm-hmm. where again, I listened to the debate 3 times over. I had it pretty close.
Really?
I had it pretty close. There was one specific moment in the debate when it just really just like went off the range, mm-hmm. and that's the specific spot that gets isolated.
Of course.
So now, if I didn't watch the debate and then I see that specific spot, I go, "Oh my God! Look at that!"
Yeah.
When in reality, there were a couple spots where he landed a decent body blow. They really were. You know what I'm saying? And so now the powers that be, like, they can say, oh, if we want to change perception, all we do is just keep running this little 30-second clip over and over and over again. So, it works both ways. On the one hand, it like democratizes information, so like truth is accessible to everybody. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, it still makes it so that you can get manipulated if their assumption about you is right. And the assumption is most people aren't going to invest the time to watch a bunch of, whatever. So we're going to look at this clip and we're going to say that this clip is definitional of how the whole thing went. Mm-hmm. It's just a crazy world we live in. We don't know how to fix it.
Yeah. Do you need much more for advertising?
Right.
Because people already want a viral clip. They already want to see somebody like kind of messing up publicly. You know what I mean?
That's the big thing.
Watch somebody long enough, you're going to catch something.
That's right.
They're going to say something. They're going to,
That's right. And if you're...
He just needs a better manager. Like people are... Yeah. Shorty was going all out for him and she still said that.
And if you... That's exactly right.
Managed.
And if you do this for a living, you know that Google, YouTube, however you want to call them, encourages a certain kind of video and discourages a certain kind of video. Like the long form, here is the exact data about this debate. Nope. Get me the little moment,
mm-hmm.
because like Twitter and all, and then we're like socialized for the 30-second clip. That's what we're socializing.
Well, I think the other thing too is that people want to be a part of something. That's why when we watch sports games and teams, we'll say we won when we didn't do anything. We didn't, our feet didn't even touch the field. We ate chips during it.
Yeah.
But, like if you're scrolling through short form platforms that give you just a little clip, then when somebody starts bringing up that debate, you watched a little 25-second thing. So rather than saying, I really only saw 25 seconds, I don't know a lot about it, people want to be a part of the thing. So somebody's talking about it, they're like, yeah, I saw him, he was crazy, he was off the hook. You know what I mean? Like, Biden made a fool of himself, but all you saw was that 20 seconds. And so everybody's talking like they took the time to research the whole thing, when it was really just everybody saw the same 20-second clip, and then everybody's saying, well, everybody's saying it, but everybody's all just observing the same stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we are. And, you know, the machine kind of knows how to adapt and continue, but it's a really dangerous time to be. You know, it's almost like you can kind of despair of like really being able to get to the truth in a given situation. Mm-hmm. Intricate balance, many ways in which light shall pierce the ubiquitous haze, cause and effect, the mere paradigm transcends beyond chance, it distorts, deny. Manifestation for humanity is more testing half-truths with daunting beliefs. When immediate action proves sane men naive and existential source is vastly decreed. Falsified heroes paving lines by which lives are falsified heroes. Don't ask me any particulars, but, you know, like Hollywood, you know, the military is really good at this.
Yeah.
Really, really good at this. Like creating legendary movies off of basic fails, you know, with warfare. Mm-hmm. And turning a boneheaded operation with boneheaded operators, unfortunately, turning that into like this legendary moment
of heroism.
In the
highest degree.
Where people, you know, like, oh, I now want, you know, like 10 years ago, everybody wanted to be a Navy SEAL. Everybody remember that? Everybody wanted to be on Navy SEAL team. And there were movies and such, and there are folks who got movies made out of them who at the same time have a turning the back to the enemy in the midst of a conflict on their jacket, and then they got movies made out of them. Just crazy stuff. I'm speaking in code here. If you know, you know. But the point is, like, you know, I give it to our military industrial complex, man, because they're masters at that. And I think, like, we don't, you know, people don't immediately think like, oh, the military has been working with Hollywood. Literally, the military, FBI, CIA has been working with Hollywood on all these major movies that you've seen that have anything to do with warfare and things like that.
Think about it.
They've all, you know what I'm saying? They've all been there. Yeah. So it's a very interesting world we're in right now because of our perceptive abilities or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Shout out to Love to Draw 13. I'm gonna give this one a 9.4. Solid opening. What
9.4 for me as well. 9.4. You guys, we still have 5 more songs. Sorry, on the stream tonight. Messa is up next, so prepare yourself for that. We are going to get a timestamp in this description of this video, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Messa, I thought it was like Messi, the soccer player, but it's Messa. Commercial break, you losers. We'll be right back. This was a 10 for Big Homie Ben, so that'll tell you the caliber of music we're in here. We'll see you on the other side of the break, dear listener. I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get matched down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review.
A positive review.
Get what you get.
It's just Rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord. Message me on Patreon to get the link. And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. It's how I'll lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We are
Messa.
in the midst of
A DJ Ben stream.
40.14.
Messa suspended. Video description has been updated, Ben. Alright, XU Album of the Year 2022 was Close by Messa. And the song, Rubido was featured in the 2022 Alliance Album of the Year stream, which happened at the end of June of 2023. A huge thanks to all the voters that got Messa chosen for the Alliance Album of the Year of 2022 stream. Sorry, I don't know which individuals originally put the album up. In addition, a year ago today, my dad and I were on a road trip to visit family last summer, and the title of this song popped up on the car's display. He turned to me and said, I hope that doesn't happen to your license. Okay? Oh, because it's called Suspended.
Suspended. As in suspended license. I can see what kind of relationship he has with his daddy there.
Yep.
Daddy-o. What's up, Daddy-o?
All right, you guys, let's check it out. Suspended by the band Messa. You're going to start right at the beginning, and we're going to shut down at 7:16, okay?
Okay, I see. Here we go. Would you say
Haribo! Start
down?
right at the beginning and end at 7:16.
Gotcha. Messa, here we go. Can you get the lyrics? that'd be the next song.
Oh shit! Yeah.
I was gonna say, whoa,
Oh,
these guys are like,
man.
oh man, look at this transition. Ah!
This man. Ben, this is a good pick. I really like this one.
Okay, so this was doom metal.
I definitely had the doom influence, but her vocals, like, they had that, the song itself had the, okay, when it first started, I was like, where's the vibe of this song? And, like, I felt like it was, like, the doomy feel to it, but I felt like it was, sounded like, sort of, like, self-acceptance of where someone was. And then the lyrics started. What a crazy batch of lyrics.
Yeah, this was a very strange song to me, as far as
Love
like
strange stuff. You guys know that.
It was very weird. Like
Yeah.
I was like, and then there was like that moment where it was just went into a straight up jazz, just a
Yeah,
regular
there was, like,
jazz
so much-
solo. There
yeah.
was nothing. It was just a jazz. I mean, it. I love that, like almost desolate sound where you're like, it's just the woman's vocals. And it's like she's in an empty room, but it's just a, you know, like
yeah.
yeah. But then at the
Yeah.
same time, like I'm imagining like the blues bar or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's wearing some sort of suit. It's a little bit smoky. There's like a blue tinge out there, and Shorty's out there just by herself doing a thing. Like that does something like weird, like that whole jazz thing. And part of it is like really weird because when I first came to the country. It was Sesame. It was one of those things, but they always had a little section where they were playing like some jazz music or whatever and trying to figure something out.
Yeah.
And like I just remember being like so sad because that's when I'd have to, you know, when that part was coming on, that's usually when my mom would pack me in the car and take me to the facility, the school, whatever you want to call it. And like now I'm like, damn, Mom. It didn't even have to be that way. You could have homeschooled me, like, because I was depressed. I would be so depressed having to leave. You know what I'm saying? Especially in my situation, because like I didn't grow up with my mom, and my mom came and got us, and now like we're hanging out every day, and now it's like, oh, you got to go to this place.
She would have been so good too.
Oh, she would have
such
killed.
a smart person.
Well, I'll tell you, she would have. Me and her would have done great with homeschooling. My older brother, he would have had a hard time because my mother wasn't like the most patient person when it came to like grasping concepts.
Well, she didn't have to homeschool everybody. If your brother liked going to school.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Institutional learning facility, as Jet says. Yeah, like, but yeah, that jazz part is crazy to me because my entire life I grew up not liking jazz, like almost hating jazz and avoiding it. And I didn't I didn't give jazz a chance until now. And now I realize it's because of the correlation between it would just make me feel too sad to just, you know what I'm saying? Which is kind of crazy to me. Like there's so many things that this channel has like dug up out of me that's like, it's kind of like you with the Mozart thing. Like
I was literally just thinking about that.
Something triggered something with the Mozart thing and like you were just like, you know?
Yeah.
And like it's weird like how music is almost a soundtrack to your life. Like there are certain songs that come on. Like I played Regulate for you like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
you know,
you
and
said
like
that. What's her face like that one?
And like just like that song that was a pre-New York song.
Mm-hmm.
We were in Florida when that song came out, and you know it just takes you to certain places. Like the music just takes you to certain places. So like anytime like I hear something jazzy. Like it always hits me because it takes me to that. I remember being, you know, 4 and 5 years old and listening to that stuff and really liking it because never hearing it before, you know, from Jamaica, you don't really hear about jazz. There's only one kind of music in Jamaica, you know, you're either going to hear reggae or you're going to hear, you know, old school Christian worship music. That was pretty much it at the time. So yeah, man, that was such a crazy time for me, like because in America you just get exposed to so much stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I used to sit and watch commercials because like I was just like, wow, like all these like I used to love commercials, like doing Saturday morning cartoons. I used to love the commercials because almost as much as you love the shows because it was like you're watching Transformers or whatever, and then oh my God, look, there's a toy that actually you could actually use this toy like G.I. Joe. I was losing my mind, bro. I was like, what?
I
Anyway.
realized I only saw like a few of the commercials.
That's what all the music does for me. Go ahead.
We weren't allowed to watch commercials. We had to turn the TV off on commercials and then turn it back on. Yeah, I just remembered that when you said it. I was like, yeah, I would have liked watching the commercials too. I understand. They were trying to protect our little minds.
And like, I immediately thought of STDs when you say pump for Sylosis. That's what all that listening to the Beatles will do to your brain.
Gosh. Okay, so she says crown-wearing contradiction, closed open doors behind these walls. I liked that beginning. It sounds like she's not in a good place. And when she said crown-wearing contradiction, to me it was her recognizing her glory and her demise. I don't know what situation she's in, but there's a contradiction between the fact that she's crown wearing, but there's got to be something opposite to that. And then she goes into another opposite, which was a closed open doors, but all this is happening behind these walls. So maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a situation.
It's got to be a relationship song.
Trails to dust, bile you swallow, resounding in my deep sleep. That to me, like, you jump in whenever you have something to say about it. That to me sounded like, if you have a trail that's going to dust, I mean, we say dust to dust. I mean, like that's your end of your life. It's like she's on a trail, or the trails available are all leading her to dust. Bile you swallow. That's bile. That's like in your stomach, right? So you're swallowing it. So you're like, she threw up in her mouth and she's swallowing it.
Basically, yeah.
Resounding in my deep sleep. That's interesting because trails to dust is, maybe I'm stretching here, but dust is white, and it could be a drug reference because sometimes that happens when people are taking drugs. The bile resounding in my deep sleep. It can, like when they're, if they don't get out of that situation, they can end up choking. I don't know. Too close to them suspended. Too close to them suspended. That I wasn't really sure.
It sounds like she's dreaming to some degree.
Well, yeah.
Because it says resounding in my deep sleep. So
and later on she says
whatever the trails to dust and the bile is something that she's dreaming about.
Oh, okay. So that's what you're looking at it as?
That's how I'm looking at it, because it says resounding in my deep sleep, too close to them suspended. So go ahead.
Then she says, awakened by a deep splash, cold. He's coming near, heavy dawn. It's interesting because back in the day, they used to throw a bucket of cold water on people that passed out for being drunk.
Yeah, and we used to do it just for fun. Like, if especially like summer vacation started, and you didn't have to go to school.
Yeah.
But your body was still kind of like waking up at that on that rhythm. Mm-hmm. That would be a thing. I'd take a bunch of cold water and dump it on my brother. And that would
brother?
My older brother couldn't do that.
What would he do?
Oh, I mean, he'd beat the hell out of you. If he could catch you, if he caught you, he'd
but
beat
if
the
he
hell
didn't
out of
catch you in that minute and he caught you at lunch,
Junior's not like that. You know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna,
Okay, as long as you can get out of his clutches in the moment.
Yeah. But like it was too funny because like he would react. I mean, and this was before like having. Like, we probably would have had a viral video about it because, like, he just reacted like, it was like kryptonite or something on him. Like, he just...
Well, yeah. Oh, my gosh. That would have made me so mad.
Yeah. And then, like, he would be so angry that he wouldn't even be able to, like, speak. It would just be like... It's like he was electrocuted or something. Shout out to the homie.
Gosh, man.
Shout out to the homie. And me, I was always pretty athletic. I was out of there. I'd never let him catch me yet.
Well, yeah, you have the element of surprise.
He caught me. He caught me one time. I was terrified. Like, I was a pretty hard kid to scare, but like, yeah, I was terrified because he caught me one time because I was too busy laughing because I wanted to stay back and see I wanted to see his reaction. And
but you were laughing too hard. You couldn't move as well.
Well, like it's one of those things where it's like. You dump it, and then while the water's in midair, you're out of there.
Okay.
But what I did was I was like, well, let me wait.
Watch.
See the moment of impact.
Yeah, I understand.
See the 2-3 second delay, and I wanted to see the eyes open. I want him to know it was me. And I accomplished that. But if I had left a second earlier, I said, ah!
Too
and
late.
I ran into a wall. That was the problem. I said, oh no, it's the wall, no! I felt his clutches on me. His all went.
Oh my god.
Spun me around. It's like, fierce your judgment.
Face the judgment?
Yeah.
Did he really say that, or are you
no,
having it right now?
No, this is what I heard.
Oh.
No, he was not even speaking English
Oh my
at this
God.
point. He was still growling, grunting and growling at me.
Oh my gosh, that's so bad.
Shout out to my brother. But it looks like she's saying like awakened by a deep splash cold. Like this guy had like put her in sort of a dream state. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you know how relationships starts at the beginning and the guy's saying all the right things, doing all the right. I mean, you don't really have that experience, but like that happens to women a lot. The guy shows up, he says the right thing, he does the right thing, and it's a dream. It's what she'd always wanted, and he said all the things he wanted her to hear, and so it kind of like it's deceptive. And then he does something crazy, and I think that's what she's saying. Awakened by deep splash cold, he's coming near heavy dawn. Like he did something to reveal himself for like what he truly was, or something like that.
She says, lines over my head, I'm still the barking dog.
Yeah.
Lines of eyes over my head. It sounds like a bunch of... So after this awakening thing happens, everybody's looking at her.
Yeah, and if she's a woman and she's a barking dog, then in a certain sense, she's a bitch, right?
Yeah, that's what I was...
Impatient and hungry, let all waste keys align and you disperse. It just looks to me like this person, had her. They were in a great relationship for a while, but then he wasn't the most honest. And she got a rude awakening, and now she has to deal with the fact that, no, this guy is just like everybody else, or whatever, is what it looks like to me. Which I see a lot of women seem to have that kind of fear. Like, if the dude is too good to... That's kind of, like, sometimes I see this in, like, this whole manosphere stuff, where the girl is, like, does all this self-destructive stuff to really healthy relationships. It's like, this could have been a really good relationship for you. Why did you do that? And then it turns out to be, well, you got all this history beforehand and this guy did this thing. So now it's like, and we're just going to go and, put this in this box so we don't get hurt again is what it looks like to me. Go ahead. You look like you were.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I think that, some of it is like, well, I already knew. Like, it's hard to believe if something or somebody is too good to be true. I mean, there's certain things about our relationship that I often say that's too good to be true. So I'm like, I understand people kind of coming to those points, but I also understand people saying, okay, this has to be too good to be true, and the self-sabotaging stuff starts, and then they find themselves in a situation that they actually wouldn't have been in if they hadn't been walking in that fear. But
yeah,
because they were fearful and reacting and doing these different things to test the relationship or whatever, like it can put the relationship in a different place. That if you just said, you know what, if something happens and it turns out it is too good to be true, well, then we'll keep our eyes open until that point. But if we're not there, then let's not live in that world.
Stench of dreams absorbing made flesh, proclaiming the newborn blood. See, there it is again. So she's got this dream that is so like native to her being that it's made flesh. Like this relationship is like some sort of physical manifestation of her deep desire. Impatient, hungry, let all waste. Keys align and you disperse. There it is again. So it's like things are going good, and then here's this guy, he comes and he screws up everything because he's impatient, he's hungry, whatever. The song title is what might happen to your license if you listen to Megadeth. Weight of rays coming near, deep blank, bitter howling through your skull. It looks like the weight of the rays coming near again is kind of like another way of talking about a horrible reality that she doesn't want to see. And so it's like being asleep and then being awoken up in a kind of jolting way is one way to look at it, or looking at it like the weight of these rays are coming in and piercing this black because you surrounded yourself in like and I've been in situations like that where it's like you're surrounded, you're making yourself delusional because you want this thing to be true so badly that you're deluding yourself.
Yeah.
And not seeing like really obvious things where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, emotions are crazy things, man. Like, doesn't matter if you're a dude or a woman. Although I suppose that it's much more tricky for women, because of how society works and things like that, where you get taken advantage of if you put too much of yourself out there. But it happens to dudes too. You know what I'm saying? So it looks to me like, I don't know if I would say it's a relationship song per se, but it looks like a person who's dealing with that cognitive dissonance of like trying to live in the dream while at the same time trying not to be, crazy about it, trying not to be like completely and totally paranoid about it and enjoy it, while at the same time understanding that, yeah, man, this thing might not go the way you want it to go.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, like when you're young, you can deal with those, okay. But I think the older you get, because the older you get, the more you realize what you want and you don't want in relationships. So you're actually able to kind of carve out your perfect person or whatever. And then when you find somebody like that and the thing doesn't work out, it has a lot more implications than if you're 16 and 17.
Well, yeah, I think the other thing too is like the more that you age, it's like the less. Sometimes our mindsets are everything for us. Like they'll make or break us. So let's say if you're older, you might start thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have my youth anymore. I don't have this. I don't have that. Like, like what do I have to look forward to when you're 16, 17, 18? Like the world is essentially at your fingertips, because if you really apply yourself, there's a lot of things that you could accomplish that you couldn't accomplish if you decided to start at 60. But I don't know. I think relationships are difficult, but I think at the end of the day, most of us want to have somebody that we can say, hey, this person's got my back and I've got theirs. And I think that while the glimmer of the glamour of like youth and stuff is something that our society kind of chases after, I still do think that there's a part in all of us that loves the idea of, okay, somebody that's willing to grow old with you, or, somebody who's willing to, at some point you get older, somebody's gonna end up in the hospital, somebody, you know what I mean? Like you want somebody that's going to be there beside you, that's going to have your back, or you're going to have their back. Nobody wants to go through those things alone. So, just want to love and be loved, but I don't know,
Like my big homie AT, got readmitted to the college I never finished. Woo woo! Good job, buddy. Close that deal, baby.
Well, that was Messa suspended, you guys.
Shout out to Gnostic Meek. What's the name of that singer, that vocalist?
Messa. Oh, I don't know what her name is.
So somebody get me the name of that vocalist, because Shorty could sing, man.
Yeah, she's incredible. She's incredible.
Shorty can really, really sing. Shout out to you, DJ AT, man. Like, finish that job, bro. Like, that's really, really cool. I also like your profile pic, baby. Look at that. It's got his little honey with him. It's got his little honey with him. Oh, baby muffin. Yeah. Shout out to the baby muffin. This is 9.8 for me.
That was for me too.
Oh, you had 9.8?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. Any song that makes it onto my my thing.
I did. The minute it started, I said, "Oh, this is Vin's vocal style. He loves this."
Well, I liked what she did with the jazz stuff, like, because it went straight to pure jazz. There's like one section of the song where it's just pure jazz. I don't say that I'm a jazz. I have such a weird relationship with jazz because of what I've been saying to everybody, but that one was really legit. We got another song coming your way. 9.8. What did you get it? 9.8.
Same thing. Yep.
Shout out to Dagburn Johnny Gobble. I think this term mud shark is, the people that don't like black people and white people together.
Oh.
So I think he's calling you
Yes, and I love it.
Hey, come and welcome. You should see our babies, bro. They're like the
beautiful.
most wonderful munch
And there's
sharky.
so many of them.
There's just a wonderful bunch of all this Aryan DNA that just look straight to the screen so you can see how blue your eyes are. Look at this wonderful Aryan DNA.
And we mix it. Miscegenation.
We just mixed it together in a stew of abominations.
Lots and lots of children.
Come and welcome. Everybody be nice to Dagbird Johnny. We will see you beautiful people on the other side of the break. Don't be mean to him. Don't be mean to him. I'm serious.
I'm Vin. I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes.
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord,
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
and they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed, a child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
Oh, what is that?
That, my friends, is a mud shark. And I am putting it right by Sori. Sori
My
the
little buddy.
Sori the mud shark. Shout out to Dagbird Johnny Gobble, who is in love with my beautiful wife and is upset that once again he got just like in high school that used to happen to you, huh? Oh, that pretty little cheerleader would show up, and then that Negro, that 6'2" Negro would show up for the football team, and all of a sudden that girl don't want to talk to you no more. He's never gotten over it, dear listener. Shout out to Johnny Dagbird.
Too bad for you.
Hey, you know, if I could relate to you, I'd feel your pain. But I can't. I was the one stealing y'all's girls, so
It's true.
I don't feel any pain whatsoever. These are the girls. They felt good. You see what I'm saying? Okay. All right. Song number 3. Oh shit! Is my band? My band is Sylosis. I put the Sylosis thing back there. There's a little screen thing right there. This one is Sylosis. Do we have an intro for this song?
We do.
Okay. What's the name of the song again?
Sylosis, Cycle of Suffering.
Oh man.
And let me grab that timestamp.
Oh man, Cycle of Suffering, man. Let's just do 112. That way, you know, homie Dagbird Johnny Gobble won't be too embarrassed.
All right, Sylosis, Cycle of Suffering. He says, DJ Ben says, I featured this band 3 times in the year of 2023, and it would not have been so if DJ Mike Franco had not done the song I Sever. You absolute beast. I remember watching the reaction video for that song on this channel for the first time with the stankest of faces and thinking, yeah, this is my shit. This is Sylosis, Cycle of Suffering. Let's check it out. This is the official live, so I don't know what you wanted to do with that. This is the one I was mentioning.
This is a live video?
To you. Yeah. Yes.
All right, let's try it. If we get hit with the copyright hit, we will still be here, dear listener. We will still be here. Let's see. They're on Nuclear Blast. That thing has got a bunch of views. All right. Was we talking to Ben?
What are you asking me?
Ben, do you have another version of this video?
No, when I looked, I didn't see any more.
That's what I'm asking. I sent you an alt link. He said there's an alt link there.
Let me check.
So we can look at it. If this was a Rumble stream, a Rumble only stream, would be okay. But you guys know what happens on YouTube. So that's a new one for Cycle of Suffering. All right, so send me that one.
Copy link and address.
Yep, and then just text it to me. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. There you are.
Cycle of Suffering is what you call the exercise bike at the gym when you put it in on maximum resistance. Yeah, I mean...
All right. So this one came from DJ Mike Franco. So shout out to Frankie, or what do you call him? What do you call him? Frankie baby? Is that what you said?
Who?
Mike
Mike?
Franco. Yep. Mike.
You
Mikey.
say Mikey baby.
Mikey baby. All right. So you have to download it.
Don't blast my private conversations with these people.
I thought you said it publicly.
Oh, there you go. Sylosis, Cycle of Suffering. This is, maybe you could talk to the people.
Okay, well, I was just trying to figure out where we were at. If we're supposed to start a big discussion, or do you still have to download it?
Yeah, obviously.
All right. Well, random ask me anything, you guys. Guys, don't forget, if we get the likes up high enough, then...
on the Rumble side.
On the Rumble side. That's right. Then we do a contest. You're going to see the flashing lights like this.
Although I'm based on the idea that you had before we started, you know, I'll give you another idea. There's another idea. What's his face?
Oh, you got an idea on top of the idea?
What's his name? Just gave me another idea.
Okay. All right.
So
we've got some fun stuff on the way.
Yeah. We've got some fun stuff on the way, for sure. To reward our beautiful people.
Them. Okay, are you doing? You're doing Sylosis right now. Cycle of Suffering, right?
The Sylosis thing done, and then once we get that done, we'll be ready to rock and roll.
We're gonna change that timestamp then. Don't worry, Benji. We will change that timestamp, so it's not gonna be 112 anymore. 112. Yeah, guys. Random ask me anything. What is it that you'd like to know?
Okay, and then where in the Cycle of Suffering what's the timestamp?
Oh.
What's the timestamp? On a related note, Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead. How long ago did he die? Vin, leave your damn scarf alone. I tried. I can't help it.
Ben, do you have the timestamps for it? Because I'm looking on that channel and I'm not seeing any timestamps.
That's the entire record,
yeah,
right?
it's I guess. Is it? Was it?
Well, I'll tell you in a second.
Because right now it's doing a commercial, so I can't see what it was going to be. No, that's just a song. That's just a song.
Yeah, that's the actual song.
All right, good. Let's do it.
Okay, and so this is an unofficial one? Good. All right. Can you get me the lyrics?
Okay.
Your Grace?
Yep.
Just send me the lyrics and then we'll go. He died decades ago. It was a recurring joke on Saturday Night Live by Chevy Chase. I don't know what that is.
It's coming.
Those are the lyrics?
Yeah, but there's one piece in here that wouldn't probably be.
Okay, what's the name of the song again? Sylosis, Cycle of Suffering.
Here you go. And I took out any of the extra stuff. There you go.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, you guys.
Wonderful.
Cycle of Suffering.
By Sylosis.
Should I just read the intro again, or?
Yeah, read the intro again.
Okay. DJ Ben, get that timestamp too, okay? DJ Ben says, I featured this band 3 times in the year 2023, and it would not have been so if DJ Mike Franco had not done this song, I Sever. An absolute beast. I remember watching this reaction video for the first time on this channel, for the first time with the stankest of faces, and thinking, yeah, this is my shit. This is Sylosis, Cycle of Suffering. Let's check it out.
Mike Franco has converted a lot of people into Sylosis fans. He should be like a temporary member of the band, honestly. Honestly.
I'm gonna play the official over here too, Ben. So don't worry.
That was the live version of it, right?
We will be seeing that. So, yeah, official live video. True.
All right, here we go. Sylosis, Cycle of Suffering. Let's go. Sylosis, it'll be 119. 119. That was Sylosis, and the name of that song was Cycle of Suffering. Cycle of Suffering is the name of the song. It reminded me of
what did it remind you of, Vinny?
one of my best friends in the world.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Probably my best friend in the world.
I thought it was
homeboy. That was pretty much every 3 months he'd go through one of these meltdowns.
Oh man. Wait. Hold on. Okay.
What?
I set off. We're good.
Did it?
It did. This shut off like a light.
I got you. Yeah, like he did. This was the joint right here. This is the joint. Then you talking about me?
Who's tipped the scales against me? The balance outweighed perpetually, crushed by our own tombstones in a harsh reality. And it washes over me again, the feeling of fire against cold skin, awaiting the relief, but only finding penance. And there is no fighting for air when there is no will, as there are no subtleties
between foes.
That's the thing, man. When people are in a bad spot and they're able to, like, it's almost like you have two choices when you're in a bad spot. You can destroy or you can build. And then, like, people pour it into art. Like, he sounds like he's in a bad place, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it's beautifully written. Who tipped the scales against me, the balance outweighed perpetually, crushed by our own tombstones and harsh reality. I don't know, I like the way he writes.
Crushed by our own tombstones is...
Yeah, what do you think that is? Like, knowing the date of our death or the destiny of all men?
I'm watching this thing and the guy says, we're the only animals that know definitively that we're going to die.
Uh-huh.
Which, of course, how could you possibly know that? Like, how could you...
Some of these things, like,
How could you possibly know that?
Uh-huh. Know that they don't think that...
We don't even know the origin of human consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of the things we're trying to tackle in the Bible boogie. People think that, we've solved that. No, it's just in the brain.
Yeah.
No, it's not. So how could we possibly know what a wildebeest actually thinks, or whether or not the wildebeest knows it's going to live or die?
Yeah.
How do we know that?
Yeah.
Like, there's just a lot of assumptions that we make about a lot of shit. Like, I'm watching this dude right now. He's about to win a Nobel Prize, and he's making the argument that atoms and molecules are clearly displaying intelligence and autonomy and will, and they are solving problems. And he's like, these beings. He's arguing that those things are conscious, and he's making the kid's about to win a Nobel Prize. He's in his he's about to be 30.
I think it's fascinating.
And he in the next 3 years he's about to win a Nobel Prize. So, like, this whole overly simplistic, we know we're conscious. No, you don't. No, you don't. So if we don't know that, then how do we know that we're the only animals that know we're going to die definitively? I'm not sure. But what I will say is that we seem to be preoccupy ourselves with death a lot more than any other animal on the planet. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And we have done things, and we've created a lot of our art form, a lot of our quote entertainment, a lot of our amusement is actually designed to distract us from the trauma of our own death. And so that's a very fascinating topic. So when he says the balance outweighed perpetually, crushed by our own tombstones and harsh reality. So, like, on the one hand, you've got a harsh reality that you're currently living in. And then on the other hand,
there's a tombstone waiting after that reality.
Yeah, your only relief is a tombstone. And so that's a very challenging way to look at life. But that is what that is, though.
Oh, okay. So when he says, and it washes over me again, the feeling of fire against cold skin, awaiting the relief, but only finding penance. Penance is like a state of, like, paying off your sins, right? Like,
it's a suffering that you do in order to pay off,
right?
Your sin, or like satisfacio in purgatory.
That's why it kind of reminded me of purgatory too.
Yeah. It washes...
Because it was fire against cold skin. Cold skin is usually for the dead. It's the fire of purgatory.
Yeah. Awaiting the relief, but only finding penance, and there's no fighting for ear when there is no will, and there's no subtleties between foes. So, that's a person who's been beaten down by life, basically. Because he's trying to find some relief, but his mistakes, his sins, whatever you want to call it, keep beating him down, and there's no fighting for air when there's no will, because he can't escape it.
That's true. Like the Bible says, like, hope deferred makes the heart sick. Like, if you don't have any hope left, and you don't have any will left, and you don't have any faith left, it's extremely difficult to get out of that place, because it's almost like there's no reason. Like, as as human beings, like, we have to have a reason to move from the place that we're at. And when you have nothing to believe in or to look to, I mean, that's a very dark place to be.
Yeah, it seems like we were kind of talking about this in the bully. Like, it seemed like about a decade ago, you had the Four Horse, you had Sam Harris, you had Chris Hitchens, you had, you know, whatever. And they were, you know, we had the internet atheism little moment that people had, and Flying Spaghetti Monster, yada, yada, yada. And then it's been fascinating to watch that group of people about 10 to 15 years ago, watching that group of people to where they are now, and they're not talking the same way. You know, you got Dawkins. I think it was Dawkins that just came out and said, like, he was a cultural Christian, and people, like, made way more out of that than what it actually was. He's basically saying, like, as far as the kind of society he wants to live in, sure, the cultural Christianity is the best way to live because you've got certain laws and expectations or whatever. He wasn't, you know, advertising Christianity at all. He was just saying it's a great way to run a society like that he would feel comfortable living in. That's not the same
Who
thing.
said this?
I think it was Richard Dawkins or whatever. People went
oh,
crazy.
okay.
People overreacted on both sides, in my opinion. I thought that the atheists who said crazy stuff about him and Christians who were, like, celebrating, I thought they were both, like, overanalyzing and reading way too much into that statement. Most people want a Christianized society for the most part. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't mean a person's a Christian.
Yeah.
But, like,
yeah.
But the point is, like, when you're young, it's interesting because, like, all these dudes were, like, coming out of high school, first year into college. So, like, when you're young, you think you know everything, especially if you can stump your parents, blah, blah, blah. You haven't really lived life yet. You really, truly don't understand what life is about. Then you get hit in the face by life, and 10 years later, all that fluky shit is not fun anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sam Harris was able to say all that shit when he made all of his neuroscience money. You know what I mean? Like, these dudes, the people that they were looking up to were people who were already well established in life and had enough money to kind of distract themselves into believing that the life that they had was, you know, without God was great. But what does that have to do with you? Because you're, you know, so, like, it's interesting watching these people because now it's like they're not as confident, they're not as vocal, and there's a lot more.
Why? Because the scientific discoveries and the UAP stuff, or what's causing?
No, I just think that life.
Yeah, as you age and you.
I just think that life, you know, and not having a very good understanding of where you came from and what you are, and a lot of the things that, quote, religion gives you. On the one hand, it's like, cool, you can build from scratch, and that's as long as you know you're building your worldview from scratch. That's okay. But what happens with a lot of these people is they didn't know how much of a Christian worldview they actually had. So when they got rid of Christianity, or what they thought of as Christianity, there were certain lines that they're like, well, we're not going to cross these lines. And then they ran into people that said, oh, no.
Well, we absolutely
we're going to cross these lines. And so it creates a lot of cognitive dissonance. Like, to this day, like, the movement, you could just see it's, like, completely disintegrated. And now people are looking at, and it's like I said, that's why I think the next big thing is going to be some sort of UAP, UFO religion, where you can disguise religion as... If we
started that, we can make a lot of money.
Science and philosophy.
No, I think that's true, though. I think that it sounds funny because, well, it sounds funny to me because of where we came from. I mean, I didn't even believe aliens was even a thing, and now all of a sudden we're all talking about it, and it's, you know, stuff's getting a little bit more obvious. But I agree with you. I think that there's a lot there. It's an interesting discoveries and conversations that we've had around it.
It's a crazy time to be alive right now. And like everybody kind of is looking for a way to, like, have that relief, you know, have that sort of, like, the ability to sit back and have peace. That's another thing that's really interesting to me is, like, the terminology that's being thrown around in the culture right now. Peace now is like peace and healing is a big thing that's getting thrown around in the culture. So, like, we're watching these dating shows and the guy keeps talking about peace and the girl keeps talking about healing and things like that. Those are not things that, when you're going on dates and things like that, like, hey, how do you think we can accomplish peace? And they're not talking about world peace. They're talking about, like inner peace. The guy, there's this constant thing from the guys saying that they want the girls to be their peace and all this. And I mean, even some of the Manosphere guys, that's a big thing. These dudes are like calling out for peace.
Yeah.
So when you're 18, 19 years old and you're about to take the world by storm, that's the last thing you're thinking about. Like, no 18-year-olds walking around and be like, I want some peace.
Yeah.
Unless they're in Gaza or something.
That's so interesting, yeah.
And then life beats the hell out of you for a decade. And now you hit 30 and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Peace is really important. Yeah. Some stability would be important. The boring things, would be really, really cool because none of us have any bearings anymore. Everything is all chaotic and crazy. It washes over me the feeling of fire against cold skill and waiting to reap, but only finding penance. And there's no fighting for ear when there is no will, and there are no subtleties between foes. It's clear to see as the blend belittle yet follow each other. The blind belittle yet follow each other. Some of us were born to suffer. That's a crazy line right now. The blind belittle yet follow each other.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. Well, how's it true in what have you observed?
Well, the way, I mean, even if just talking about what we were saying before about the news, like we belittle the news and how, but people say that they won't accept something unless CNN or some of the major news places put it out.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how we
crazy.
are. Like we are still following them, but at the same time, don't trust them at all, but won't believe it unless it comes off over there.
Yeah.
But they want to hear their YouTubers or whatever that they trust break down the story for them, but they want it validated by the CNN. So that's what it made me think of. What about you?
Yeah, no, that's a really big one. Obviously, the major one is like just the election and looking at what people say about both of these guys. Mm-hmm. But then because those are the two options that we're forced to pick, they now are saying, hey, this wasn't really that bad a couple days ago, or the Trump people like, I know 34 felonies, but this is the man. Yeah. Like it's, and to your point too, it's like, like what we say about the media, it's like nobody trusts mainstream media anymore. Everybody's looking at breaking points or whatever, but like at the same time, like perfect example with the whole Biden situation. Mm-hmm. We've been saying this about Biden for years.
Right, yeah.
This is why, like, the Biden situation in the debate it hasn't affected me the way it's affected a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, he had a couple moments there, but none of those moments to me were significantly different from all the moments he's had. He was on stage with Kamala Harris 4 years ago, and he said that he was there for the only black U.S. senator or whatever, and literally she was on the stage with him. So like, but at the time, everybody was like, nobody was taking him seriously. He was a joke. So like, but like, that's a perfect example where like now that the Democratic establishment, the people at CNN, the people at MSNBC, now that they're saying there's a problem, now all of a sudden there's a problem. Yeah. When all of us have been seeing this for the last 4 or 5 years. Yep. But now that they think it's a problem, now Biden has to have meetings with his family. There are emergency meetings happening. So it's like, but wait a second, we've all seen this from the jump.
That's why when you asked me,
they were the ones telling us that he was fine, that it was just Republican, whatever. Mm-hmm. They were telling us that.
That's why when you asked me, I said, I don't know, maybe CNN decided they changed their position on him. You said, remember when you said mid debate? I'm like, I don't know. It just seems to me that I didn't necessarily, I did see some blunder moments, and maybe I made a bigger deal out of those than was there, but I don't know. The moments were kind of crazy. But I see what you're saying. You listened to the whole thing over 3 times, and you saw that he had some really good points and different stuff like that.
Yeah, and a lot of the criticisms, people are like, oh, Trump lied. He would never. No, there were multiple times when he said, no, you're not telling the truth about that, yada, yada, yada. It was just the aesthetics, which is too much to get over. But again, because of how I am, I have listened to probably, without exaggeration, probably 2,000 hours of debates. I've also participated in moderated debates, like serious ones where there's opening statement, closing statement, cross-examination, closing statement, like a real debate. So I know how debates are supposed to go, and I know when somebody's actually landing a point. Like, there are things where, like, somebody told me one time, they're like, I'm never gonna get on and have a debate with you, Vin, because you're a great debater. That doesn't mean you're right. And, like, of course, at the time I was like, oh yeah, but, like, it's true. Like, there are tricks that debaters who are really good know how to use, because the human element of the aesthetic of this person looks like they know what they're talking about. This person looks like I'll never forget this. One time it was an atheist guy, actually. A Christian asked him a question, and it was about, like, morality or something like that.
Okay.
And you could tell that the atheist hadn't. It was just the Chris guy. There's this atheist dude. He's got a show and stuff. I don't understand, like, the appeal, but anyway, whatever it was. But the guy was asking him something, and the dude was like, and it was clear that the guy had never heard this. The atheist had never heard this question before, or phrased a certain way. So during the cross-ex, the atheist goes, well. So he was thinking, he was ruminating on the idea, and then the Christian goes, what's going on? You don't know that, you know. And so the atheist is like, can you give me a second to think? Can I think?
Yeah.
And so, like, that clip was like, oh, look, like, we whatever, this atheist, whatever. And it was like,
yeah, but
and the atheist respond, and I'm no friend of this atheist, obviously, but when he actually had time to think and he responded later, he responded pretty decently. You know what I'm saying? But that little moment, like, was the clip, and it's 2 minutes, and the atheist is all, you know, it's like, destroys atheist or whatever, you know, it's like,
yeah.
And so, like, we're so easily manipulated. You know, I had a impromptu debate with this Muslim dude, and it was like a 2-hour conversation or something like that. But the one of the guys that's in this world, that's his thing. He debates Muslims. That's what he does for work. He clipped a little 2-minute piece of you know, and so, like, now, anytime that guy says something, people go, oh, well, you know, and the guy's like, that was 2 minutes, and, like, I had my moments, but like, this is the way we are right now. It's like, oh, this little 2-minute segment. Oh, Biden did horrible. Oh, it's like, okay, and so now it's like, it is kind of like the blind leading the blind, because most of us are not theology nerds who sat down and listened to thousands of hours of debates and know, okay, this is just aesthetics. This is actually the substance. I think Biden, and everybody knows me, I'm no fan of Biden. I think he did fine in the substance of the debate. I really do. The aesthetics were horrible. But as far as, like, actual points,
the aesthetics have been horrible.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And that's why this line is so relevant right now, because it's like, okay, you guys decide that now it's like the worst thing ever. Mm-hmm. And so now the entire country is talking about whether or not this guy should step down. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you guys have been, the same newscasters have been telling us he's fine. Oh, there's no problem. Oh, this is just ageism, blah, 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 blah. That's what they were saying the entire time, laughing at us, mocking us. Now it's real because they decided it's real. It's just a blind leading the blind. And, like, what are you supposed to do now as a person who's, like, trying to interpret the world around you? Because before, honestly, like, before in the news, Dan Rather would get up there, he'd be extremely boring, and he'd say, this is what happened, and that would be it. But now, like, we were watching MSNBC the whole time, and, like, it's all these, like, Joe Biden had to overcome this, Joe Biden overcame that, he'll overcome this. Like, you're not supposed to be a cheerleader for a candidate if you're just the news. You're supposed to boringly... Yeah! She had tears in her eyes. Like, you're supposed to just boringly tell us what happened. That's your job.
You guys know how I am about politics. So when something is, like, outside of the box, that's when all of a sudden, like, wait, what's going on over there? So, you know, like, Trump, he's an entertaining figure. This lady was doing her news thing, and Vinny was watching it. And, like, I stopped what I was doing because I'm like, what is this going on over there? And then I like, legit looked like she was just cheerleading. But then at the end, she said that, you know, obviously some things do need to change, and she said that he needs to be managed better. I was like, nope.
Yeah. I'm not saying that he'd be a great president. I'm not a fan of him. I'm just saying, just as a guy who grew up watching and listening to debates and knowing how they're supposed to go. Like, I don't have any training. I'm just telling you, like, it wasn't as bad as they were saying. But this is what this song is saying. Like, that's how you get enveloped in despair, because like now the people, because like it's true. Like Dan Rather, like he, you know who he is? It's just it's a news guy. Evening news around 6 o'clock. He's like, I'm Dan Rather, and he would just look at the camera. Familiar. He was very boring. He just had this. I'm Dan Rather. This is what happened today. That's it. That's all they tell you. Yeah. You know, and then all the extra shit is like you would hear the adults talking and all the rest of it when they would watch the news. Yeah. Now it's like, and some of this probably has to do with the fact that I was a little kid. But I looked up to the newscasters. Like the newscasters to me were like, they were just, what they said was true. That's it. Like that was it. So like I'd sit there and watch with my mom, and my mom would be disagreeing. I'm like, this is a newscaster. Like how can you disagree with the newscaster? Like what are you doing? And so it's just an example of what they're saying in this song is that this stuff leads us to despair because it's very destabilizing at some point when you realize like, these guys are reading from a script, and it doesn't matter left or right. They're reading from a script, and these guys do so much better when we're all fighting each other, and they all give us little. Now you got newscasters like calling half the country crazy and all the rest of it, and so now like there's nothing but despair because then you're gonna tune into the news channel that says that people that disagree with you are crazy, and then it's like, well, shit, all these people are crazy, but they have the power to vote. Oh no. And so like it's crazy now. You got people on the left like that are like, yo, these people shouldn't be able to vote. Literally, like they're saying that and vice versa. And you got people on the right who 4 or 5 years ago were always talking about the rule of law. All of a sudden don't care about the rule of law. You got people on the right who laughed at like systemic attacks and the idea that the system could be against you even if you were an innocent person. They used to laugh at that. Now they're the ones that are talking about systemic attacks from the DOJ who's going to target you and all that. It's like it's so crazy. Like what world am I in right now? Like wow. And so like I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I don't see how we get, like it was very hard for me not to look at these lyrics and be like, damn, this guy tapped into a lot of what we're all feeling. I mean, it's an election cycle, so I'm sure the song wasn't about that, but he definitely tapped into it. It does create a lot of despair because we're not looking at the same reality as Americans anymore. And we're now against each other. And then on top of us being against each other, our side is always saying that the other side is too powerful and is about to destroy the country. Like and so like you've got regular, just everyday people like, what? These Donald Trump, if he gets reelected, is going to destroy the country? Well, shit. On the other hand, you got right wingers who are saying
the same thing.
You're gonna put this guy at the helm of the country, and we got Russia and China, like what? And they're terrified. And both groups, I think, are right to be terrified because like the implications on both sides are crazy. Yeah. And the problem is like I could see Trump doing some crazy shit to get revenge for the people that played him in his mind. I could see that happening. I could also see Xi Jinping or Vladimir Putin looking at Biden and be like, man, we can do anything we want to this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like, that despair, like, and that kind of like angst that this song is talking about, like, I'm feeling it like under the surface of everything. And it's like, yo, man, like, unless we figure out some way, I mean, this was released in 2020. Okay. So that kind of, you can still kind of get there because Biden and Trump were going after each other again in 2020, right? And like, but man, like
this part, he says, I felt the waves of pain crashing against me with no sign of escape. It's too overbearing. There's an enveloping despair, and there are demons beneath our skin. You can't point the finger unless you've pointed it within.
Right.
And then he said, and no atonement can ease the inevitable. I mean, for me, like, I know you're pulling the, political stuff out of it, like on a, like just a human level, like when you feel that full of despair and pain is to that degree and you don't feel like there's a way of escape and it's like to that overbearing point, like, I don't know, like when we suffer, we don't necessarily suffer because our situation is that bad. I think a lot of times we suffer because we view our situation to be that bad.
That's the Stoicism stuff, right?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's Aurelius. There's a thing that happens to you, but then there's a way that you interpret it that really causes the suffering.
Yeah. And you know, when he said, "And no atonement can ease the inevitable," for me that line was like, whoop! Because like when I get in those moments of where I feel despair or I feel whatever, like that's my go-to is like, there's atonement. There's atonement for the things that I've done. There's atonement for the things other people have done, and there's a God that's in control over this entire thing. He's overseeing it, and I know He loves me. So, yeah. So that was just like to hear those lines play out, because I didn't know where he was going to go with it. You know what I mean? Like we've all been at points where we feel, you know, stuff crashing against you and stuff like that. Because I think that, you know, part of the reason why we experience those things is it's meant to push us to a place of decision. And, you know, I think it was in the book of Joshua or something, there was like a point where they drew a line in the sand and he said, like, choose this day who you will serve. And you cross that line if you wanted to, you know, serve the God that they were following, which is Yahweh, or you didn't want to. But yeah, I think that like moment to moment in our lives, like when we experience really, really painful situations, that's kind of the question, like which way are you going to go with it? Are you going to embrace the like this guy is going through, but then he writes this song and he puts the music to it and stuff. And we've seen it over and over. People in excruciating pain just creating beautiful, beautiful things.
That line is crazy. I never saw the light till I was already out of the dark, and when I thought I'd left it completely, the void dragged me back.
Yeah, that one was crazy too.
Woo.
Yep.
Whew. I never saw the light till I was already out of the dark. And when I thought I'd left it completely, the void dragged me back. Yeah, man, I think that's where a lot of people are at right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Personally, culturally, politically, I think that's where a lot of people are at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to see, I don't want to say like, I don't want to say giving up maybe, but I do think people are like submitting to the zeitgeist in the sense of like, we'll never know the truth. We'll never have a political sort of movement that we actually believe in. You know, it's these people are too powerful type of energy. And, you know, it's like, it's really, really easy to tap out right now because it looks like an endless cycle of suffering. But if we submit to that last verse in this song, then it's gonna make the title true.
Mm-hmm.
You have to resist all that shit till the very end. Like, and that's why I'm like, it. Everybody knows like I'm not a Biden fan. I'm not, you know, I don't like him at all in any way, shape, or form. I think he's horrible for black people. I think black people are silly for even voting for him. I think he has no respect for us, and I don't think he should have any respect for us. But I'm still going to look at that debate and say he didn't do as bad as they said. And that's not because I'm defending Biden. It's because I refuse to let these people dictate to me how I'm going to interpret reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's my issue.
Mm-hmm.
My issue is I don't care what y'all say. I'm not going to let you guys determine reality for me. So even if I don't like Biden, I still have my mental faculties in order, and I can still, you know, analyze that debate with the tools God gave me. And that's why I'm going out of my way to say, no, he didn't do that bad. It's not because I'm trying to defend him. It's because I'm trying to defend my own mind. I'm defending my own mind and saying, I'm not going to let these people dictate to me how I interpret reality.
Yeah.
And so, like, you just can't give up. You can't quit with these people. It's a psychological war. And as such, all you have to do to win the psychological war is own your own mind. That's all you have to do, is own your own mind, and that way you can win. It doesn't matter if you're left wing, right wing, and that's the way they try to trick you. Mm-hmm. They try to say, well, look, here's a guy you don't like. We're going to say a bunch of negative shit about him, and you're just going to go along with it, whether or not it's true. And I'm saying, nope. I've got a paradigm by which I look at the world, and it's not through the media. Mm-hmm. It's really through God, my Bible, the people around me that I trust, and honestly, like you guys. That holds a lot more weight to me than what I see on CNN and all the rest of it. I don't know them people, and people don't know me. Mm-hmm. But I know y'all, you know, we've been together for quite some time. And so, like, that's why I say the shit that I say. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I still talk. You know, I was hitting up one of my folks like 4 a.m. yesterday. I was like, yo, listen to this thing again. I don't think it's as bad as people saying it is. And like,
what they think?
We had that conversation. He's like, yeah, you know. He's like, yeah, I see you. I mean, it's unrecoverable, but I see what you're saying. But like, he didn't completely agree with me. But like, just to be able to have like that's the way that I do it. That's the way I do it. That's the way I fight back. I go, okay, this is what they're saying. This is what I'm seeing. Let me ask these people because I trust these people. I know how they think. Shout out to Maida. Like, that's what I do. Because otherwise, man, if you just go by what these people say, then they're gonna yo-yo you all over the place.
Yep.
Crazy song. 9.5 for me.
I actually had unplugged my headphones from where you guys were listening, and had plugged in on this computer, and I heard the live version. So it was a really good one. I'm gonna give it a 9.6.
Okay, that's crazy. So Ben gave it a 9.4. I gave it a 9.5. You gave it a 9.6. There you are, dear listener. Own your own mind. Vin 2024.
That's
Own
right.
your own mind, dear
You heard
listener.
it here first.
You heard it here first. We will see you on the other side.
We're coming right back.
Neil with the Angenochrome or whatever it is. That's the Pizzagate shit. We need to do an entire episode. We'll see you guys on the other side of the break. We'll be back. Vin out.
Back, Sori out.
Ben in this bitch. Let's do it.
DJ.
I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes.
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull
You
that off.
can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
Rubbish. That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord,
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
and they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. It's y'all shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We just had a wonderful conversation, and the conversation will continue.
Yes, it will.
What's
Wild
the next
Run O Resolution. This is for DJ. What?
Wilderun. Is it Wilderun? I don't know.
Could be.
Go ahead.
This is for DJ Ben. As you guys know, he is doing a thank you stream for the village because there are different people that pick songs over the course of X amount of time, and those inspired other picks by him when he listened to more of the band. So he's doing a shout out, I guess, like to them. So the next one is Archero chose The Unimaginable Zero Summer from the album Veil of Imagination on a stream, which was my introduction to this band, says DJ Ben. After listening to the album, I thought it was almost criminal not to include this song that we'll be listening to tonight. Because The Unimaginable Zero Summer jumps straight into that one, we will be listening tonight, Oh Resolution.
Oh Resolution. This is
A lyric
lyric video, dear listener. Oh Resolution, Wilderun. Let's check it out.
tales to unwind, forgotten in the hazy darkness of our days. But there's a spark made of sleep, remembering when time held its mystery. There's no end to subscribe to anything. Close your slaves, keep building when they die.
was incredible. I don't think I've heard anything like this before. Like, we've listened to thousands and thousands of songs. Like, this
Listen to the song right before this one. But you're saying this one definitely impacted you the most.
well, it was just an incredible... Archero puts epic down there. Just like the way that the thing was like huge. It was like like a movie. I was like, man, these guys should have done the Dune soundtrack. Like,
oh wow!
Like, it was that. This was like, it was like a major production. Who are these people?
Wilderun.
Wilderun? I would assume that this thing, like, even their aesthetics are crazy. Like
it looks like a tree skull.
In the video, it was like a dude in the middle of a field.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, like it was just the imagery. Their imagery is crazy. I mean, they're just. This is such a weird thing that I've never heard of this band. Like, in all the years, have we done anything from this band yet?
Yeah, that's what Archero picked the song on this album, the song right before this one, and that's how Ben found the song. So that's how Ben got it on this stream.
Oh, okay.
So I think he listened to the full album. Is this the one where you listened to multiple times then?
Like, look at this picture here. Like,
after listening to the album, I thought it was almost criminal not to include this song that we'll be listening to tonight.
Yeah, like even like the decisions they made for the album are just
unique,
really crazy. It's interesting because it's so beautiful. And I don't know, it's weird. It's almost like metal, like, goes out of its way to be ugly a lot. You know what I'm saying? And this band is like, nah, we're gonna hit y'all with something beautiful. We're gonna have beautiful aesthetics, and we're gonna have beautiful lyricism, and the guitar. It's just, I keep, like, that's the term that keeps getting in my head, is beautiful. It's beautiful shit, and it's like, I appreciate that they're going out of their way to do that, because this is something, like, totally different. Like, even aesthetically speaking, like think, like, when have you seen something like this in album art? Like, you just don't see it. And there's still something, like, very, like, down here, like, in the bark, it looks scully a little bit. So there is some allusions to death there, but it's just a very beautiful, I don't know, to me it's beautiful. And then you got this, like, one random knight that's hanging out in the field there.
Yeah.
And the music just sounds so epic. Like, dude is about to go on some quest, some, like, wonderful quest of, like, goodness or whatever. I ended up listening to their entire discography after the stream, not right away though. You definitely get the sense.
Their entire discography?
I mean, I don't know how many songs this band has come out with. The first exposure to Wilderun was on a predecessor Imperishable Flame stream, Agents of I remember that, the Agents of Adiago, or whatever it was.
Yeah, Ben, that's what I see. I think something's wrong here.
Oh, like, go ahead.
To me, it looks like this looks like it's the front of a skull, and this would be the neck, the back of the head, and then this whole part is, like, missing toward the front over here, so it looks like something really tragic and terrible happened to this, and now, as time has gone on, it's sort of solidified and grown flowers from it. But I guess you could get the concept out of that, like, the beauty from ashes sort of theme. Whoa, that's pretty weird. Babe, I'm right here on the lyrics looking at those, and the commercial on the side was Dune. And you just got done saying that, like, what?
Yeah, they got some sort of technology that...
Somebody's listening. Okay. Endless blood for half-heart measures. Raise the mountains for your treasure, no devotion to the struggle, no precision in the final hour. It's a lot of effort.
There's more time to find the light. There's more to find, but the light betrayed all the tales to unwind, forgotten in the hazy darkness of our days. But there's a spark made of sleep, remembering when time held its mystery. There's no end to subscribe to anything. Closure slaves keep building when they die. I mean, good night.
He says, raise the mountains for your treasure, no devotion to the struggle. No precision in the final hour. You know, there's that Bible verse that says, better is the ending of a thing than the beginning thereof.
Yeah.
And he's saying no precision in the final hour. So it seems like somebody's endless blood for half-heart measures. There's a lot of cost, but not a lot of effort.
Well, yeah. I mean, it. In other words, I mean, that could be a lot of things. This would be about sending dudes out to war, and you're not putting out the same kind of effort. So you've got an endless supply of basically cannon fodder, which is currently still happening all over the world. No devotion to your struggle, no precision in the final hours. So it's like you're part of this war, you're part of this struggle, but you're sending other people off to go die in these horrific ways, and you don't have any devotion to it. But you're letting all these other people go off and die. You have no devotion to it, and you're not even paying attention. So even in the final hour, when you're going to meet your death or somebody's going to meet their death, you still don't even know what's going on. Like no precision in the final hour.
Oh my word.
I mean, that's a crazy. Some of this to me feels like it's a concept record, right? Because
it could be,
and that may just be their writing style, and it may also be that the music was so epic it sounded like it was like the soundtrack to something. You know what I'm saying?
Hold the color of victory. Life only grows through memory. We fight the wind as if it were mortal. Don't you think memory is an interesting concept?
It is.
Because there's a sense in which your memories feel like they belong to you, and a sense in which they feel like they belong to someone else, and you're just remembering them. Like, you know what I mean? Like the memories that you have from when you were a kid, you're like, wait, I was that person? Does that happen to you too, or?
Well, yeah, it happens a lot, especially considering, like, apparently I have a sharper memory, or, my memory is...
memory is ridiculous.
And so, yeah, there are things that I talk about, like experiences that I've had, with my own brothers, for God's sake. Oh, yeah, I don't remember that. But I'm like, how did you, But, yeah, like that, there is more to find, but the light betrayed all the tales to unwind, forgotten in the hazy darkness of our days. But there's a spark made of sleep, remembering when time held its mystery. There's no end to subscribe to anything. Close your slates. Keep building when they die. So that to me is about like being younger and having all these dreams. Because there's a spark made of sleep, remembering when time held its mystery. So to me, that's like when you were a kid and your dreams were so vibrant and everything was mysterious and things were cool. Like, there is that kind of loss of innocence when you, like, for example, like a rainbow. I'm not even talking about the God side of it. I'm just talking about being a kid and seeing a rainbow in the sky and being like, yo, that's magical. And then going into like, seventh grade chemistry and your teacher's like, yeah, that's, light particles going through this prismatic. So now it looks like, what, and like they explain the thing to death so that there's no more like coolness about it. It's like, oh, this is just a natural process. All the magic is gone. Instead of saying, well, what we're calling science is just a map to how the magic works. It's kind of similar to like, when you cast a spell. It's like you've got part this, part that, part this, part that, and then boom, now you've got the spell. So instead of teaching reality that way, they try to like almost mechanize reality so that so all the wonder, all the coolness, it's all gone, in their cold, dead books or whatever. Yeah. And like I said, like nobody has a problem with learning like, oh, here on the practical level, this is, going through this prism. But like, where did the prism come from? And why are we experiencing blue as blue and red as red? We don't know. That's called the hard problem of consciousness. Again, we're talking about qualia. Why are you experiencing red the way that red is? And is my red the exact same as your red? We don't know. We don't know that. So, there's so many ways that you can teach science and teach about reality that does not take away the wonder and amazement of it all. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing that's crazy to me. It's like, oh, you're looking through this, these little droplets, and they're going through this prism, and so they're getting captured, and you're looking at it as red and green and what all the colors of the rainbow. And that's where they stop. But they don't tell those kids, we don't really know why you have this the qualia of red or the qualia of blue. We also don't know if what you're seeing as blue is the exact same thing as what your neighbor is seeing
You
as
would
blue.
make such a great
And then you
teacher.
could say there's still a lot of mystery and
There's
magic
science.
there
Yeah.
in a rainbow.
Yeah.
And that's still science,
Yeah.
right? But like
so that's so much more interesting to put it that way too. Plus, you could
Yeah.
also say, like if you're, coming from a Christian worldview, God created that stuff, and so anything that we understand how it's made is because we are understanding God's thoughts after Him. So. That's how we started digging into science in the first place. So if we're like, hey guys, like this is the rainbow and we figured out how God accomplished the rainbow, and then you start going into the scientific discoveries of it, I think it's a pretty interesting conversation. And like you said, to say, but we don't know if what everybody's seeing as the second color up on there is orange. Is everybody seeing that same orange? We don't know.
Yeah, and we could talk about
Which, whenever I hear the qualia discussion, I always think about people making fun of other people's clothing, because I'm like, you don't even know if you're seeing it the same way.
Right.
So you're assuming that your perception is the truest and that their outfit really doesn't work. Like in school, I mean, that was like a big thing. If somebody was mismatched or whatever, that doesn't work. Like, I don't know what they're seeing the other person, because they clearly thought it did.
Yeah, the craziest, I mean, this really kind of hit me when we were doing the whole what color is the dress thing.
Yeah.
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 And it was like, yo, that like
Mhm.
sent me on such a journey, like and the Yanny Laurel thing.
I was going to say,
Like
yeah.
that sent me on like this crazy, like we're gonna go through it in the Bible Boogie, but like even our perception of colors is something that's up for debate. And when you talk about red shift and blue shift, because
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so that the universe, expanded from the singularity here because red shift, blue shift, and it's like your perceptive, whatever you're looking at, you still have to look at it through the gateways of your perceptive abilities as a human being, like period, end of story. And then when you think about like, okay, the observer, and so there's ascension quantum physics in which your observation itself creates the reality that you're looking at. We saw this yesterday. We were talking about like you would need a ridiculous supercomputer to compute all the particles and molecules in space if this were a simulation.
Yeah.
And I said, well, no, we don't need to do that.
Right.
Because when you're in Elden Ring, when you're on level whatever, it's not pixelating all the stuff from the previous world that you're in. So you only need the machine to work insofar as you're perceiving something. So it doesn't need to be the entire universe. It just needs to be whatever we're observing. And since we're stuck here, like we can't get light years past whatever, they don't need for the entire universe to be simulated. They just need the observable world for us to simulate. And we already know that the closest star to us is, X amount of light years away. So we're never going to go there. We're never going to see that. So you don't need to simulate the entire universe. You just need to simulate the entire field that we can see.
From that theory, are we, people always say like, at least we're looking at the same moon.
Right.
Are they?
Well, it'd be impossible that we'd be looking at the same moon. Right?
I was afraid you would say that.
That's impossible. It'd be impossible. And how would you
Yeah.
know? How would you know that what I'm perceiving, this is like Kant's question. How do you know that the moon that I'm perceiving is the same moon that you're perceiving? It's almost certainly not. It's almost certainly not. So, yeah, and then that creates, so this is creating something for you. Like, what's going on there?
Whoa, because the concept, I've always thought about that with the moon situation. Because I've always been like very dramatic in my thinking, and so when I was younger, I thought I was going to be a missionary, and so like you'd think like, okay, if you end up they trap you in some place and you're seeing the moon, at least you'd know like the people that you love are looking up at the same moon, like that whole thing of being like feeling connected to somebody through the moon, and obviously we have history with the moon as well, so it's just like I don't know, I can't really like play it out right now because I feel like I think I liked the idea that there's something like that we're all looking at the exact same thing. But when you go by that theory, there's no way that it could be. But.
Yeah, but that the moon would be a connecting point for people who are separated. And if that theory is correct, then we're not separated at all. You're literally right by the person, right? That's why you have quantum action with spooky action at a distance, because when you see the platform and these things are supposedly separated by billions of miles away, but one action immediately creates the other action, that means that they're not billions of miles away at all.
Mm-hmm.
It means that they're in the same room together, and the platform has them separated, much like on Fortnite, you can be on one side of the map, I can be on the other side of the map, but in reality, we're sitting right next to each other. So the quantum physicists were telling us we're all right next to each other, and none of this distance is actually really there. So when I see the moon and all that, like, I still say, oh, hey, yeah, there's a connection there. But to me, what the science is really saying is that we're like, all of us are so close together that we're like almost like on top of each other.
You're saying the illusion is our distance, not our...
Right. The illusion is the distance, not the moon itself. The moon isn't the real illusion. The real illusion is the idea that we're actually separated from each other by miles or inches or whatever, when we're really not. And then you ask...
Well, that is an interesting, and I think about that sort of concept a lot, as far as like how close people or far people can be, because obviously you can be sitting side by side but be miles apart internally or in your own persons, you know.
Right.
I mean, you see married people in those situations all the time. That's why, you know, your cousin was saying, I don't really know if I want to get married because
right.
I don't see any healthy relationships really to speak of, you know.
Right.
So, you know, because you just see people just distancing. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and so like it's, you know, separation really truly is a myth. It's like, the reality, the math is telling us that we're all like literally in the same room, if not on top of each other, you know, which is a pretty crazy thing to think about, you know. So the way I look at the world right now is that, you know, we're all sitting together in a room playing this video game, you know, with the headset on. And when you go into a video game world, you can be separated by hundreds of miles on a map in the game. And the player that that's your avatar. Like,
so interesting.
I've got an avatar that's here. You've got an avatar that's over there. It looks however, you know, hey, we can mix and match. This is how we want the avatar to look. Then we plug into this game. And then it's crazy because when we're playing the game together, we're in both worlds simultaneously. So I'm like, yo, there's a guy to your right. There's nobody to your right. Right? And so like that's the crazy thing about it. Like, I don't even think, that's like we were talking about on our walk. I don't think a lot of these theories even would be able to be broached until we experience things like video games. How do we explain that kind of dichotomy in any other way? Yeah. Like, I'm sure there's words for it, but like, because we have technology now, the technology brings us to a place where we have that imagination of saying, oh, okay, we do know how to operate within a story. I mean, that's essentially a video game. In a video game, you get to be a player in a story, and you get to actually live in the story, right? And so it's like that. If you understand that that's what life is about, and you understand that at some level there's some sort of mechanism that's shielding us from the fact that we're in a simulation, because that's the entire point of the simulation. If we knew we were in a simulation from the get-go, then we would act differently than if we believed that what was in front of us was actually in front of us.
Well, like, and that's why, you know, Jesus talks about faith, and that how our faith, it dictates and it changes things for us, because it causes us to act differently, because you're not just looking at the situation as you see it in front of you, but you're looking beyond that and the implications of it and the intentions behind it and stuff. And so as, you know, as Christians, if you keep your mindset that way, it does change the way that you make decisions in your life and the way that you prosecute stuff that goes on, you know?
Yeah. The idea that the universe is not locally real, I mean, it won a Nobel Prize, but it's not getting as much press as it should be. I mean, it's an amazing reality to deal with, and if it wasn't for Einstein, we probably would have got there a lot quicker.
That's so wild.
But the homie, he didn't want to believe in that.
He had his presuppositions as well.
Well, yeah, and he just didn't want to believe in that weirdness, man, because it is a weird thing to think. It's weird. This band is incredible. This band's getting a 10 from me.
Ooh.
They are like something else.
It was
Like, you know, people, oh, this is something else. Like, this is definitely like a different type of music, different type, like their whole approach. This is a band where I'm like, I have to talk to these people. This is one of those people, like, you know, once we get into, you know, that phase, we
that's right, Ben.
we settle that deal, you know, and we take care of the situation tomorrow. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna get back into chasing people down and interviewing them. So, yeah, I really, really love this song. This is probably my favorite. This is probably my favorite song in the last. And it's crazy to me. Even the aesthetics, like this picture right here, picture right here to me is like, I could stare at that thing for hours. Like, I love when bands like we're gonna go someplace completely different. Because like all the dark theme stuff, like that's all there. Like we know it all. Like this band, like it's inspiring. Like now I'm like, oh, because I think about the imagery of our band and things like that. But yeah, like this is something that immediately gets your attention because it's so different in the context of the music we're listening to. I really love this band.
For me, the song was, I had an interesting experience with it because part of it I didn't really like, and then the parts that I liked, I really liked. And it definitely had that epic sound to it. It like made you feel like you were in this big space. It's interesting because what we were talking about in the song of like people are closer or farther than you know, whatever we think. And so you're like, what's happening when we're all listening to this music together? Because we're all connected to listening to this song at the same time, you know. So we've got this song going on and you're like hearing all of these big sounds. You feel like you're in this giant area that, you know, they've created with this with sound, and all of us are experiencing it together. It's a pretty interesting. So the up parts that I really liked, those were really high, like up 9.8. And the parts that I was like, not really a fan, was more of like an 8. So I guess I'll go with an 8.9.
10. I'd give it a 15 if I could. We will
White
see
Ward
you
is up next.
on
We'll
the
be
other
right
band.
back.
White Ward, white power in this bitch. Vin out.
Sorry, out. Black power.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes.
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish. Rubbish.
That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village. Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, and child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. 228.15.
All right, you guys. White Ward Uncanny Delusions is up next for the big homie DJ Ben. DJ Ben says Neil Murray in an Alliance Leader stream chose Surfaces and Depths from the same album, and although I don't really dig this genre, I absolutely had to buy this album, Love Exchange Failure. We'll be listening to the closing track, Uncanny Delusions, from the same album. Let's check it out, you guys. White Ward.
Also, this guy, he doesn't like
this style of music.
This
genre.
The genre. Okay. Well, we'll be the judge of that. Here we go. White Ward is the name of the band.
Yep. White Ward is the name of the...
is the name of the channel. And Uncanny Delusions. Let's do it, baby. Beautiful. That's it. I love music like this.
Silent reflection start to shout.
You're in trouble now.
It's one of them 30s things, right?
It sounds a little off, so it kind of like strikes you.
What are the lyrics to this part? Revo in this bitch! Hey, Revo!
Revo!
Hey, Ben.
Oh, right there, old vinyl sample playing on the screen. It was an old vinyl. What was that? Oh my god, that was a little unnerving.
Well, I believe it was meant to be unnerving.
They accomplished it.
It's Canada's birthday, so shout out to Canada. We got the flag up there for y'all. For
Canada's
y'all beautiful
here?
people. I'm just saying it's Canada's birthday.
Oh!
Like the country.
I know our villagers more.
Shout out.
I hear Canada. I'm like, oh, Canada rocks.
Shout out to Canada. Canada.
Shout out to Canada.
Shout out to Canada.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking your boy home.
Man, you man. Everybody thinks I'm the one, but you're really the one. You're really the one.
The one to what?
You're really the gangster over here.
No, I'm
Shout out to Canada.
No, I just like to make you laugh.
You're God's goofiest gooper, according to okay.
Goofiest goober.
This is 2 songs back to back that I've never heard of like this. Like,
well, you've heard all these bands before because that's how Ben picks these songs, but they didn't hit you like this.
yeah, well,
Or
the previous band I might have heard before, but I've never heard a song like that before. And then this band, I could tell that English wasn't their first language, but they did their lyricism here is incredible. Both these songs back to back had really hit me in you don't see arrangements like this, especially like the way that it started. This one started completely clean. I wish Dwayne would have left early, because like if he would have heard this song, I would be very curious, because the first like 2.5 minutes are so beautiful, and then it comes with the death vocals, which at the time, like I was like half and half on it, because I was like the first like 2.5 minutes were just like a warm, calm, soothing bath.
oh yeah, it was beautiful.
Long day of work,
You
your
liked
joints are in pain. Oh, I loved it. Like long day of work, your joints are in pain, and you're hanging out in the heat like a hot
Babe,
tub
you should
type
give my playlist another try.
type feel.
I like this
Like
stuff.
it felt beautiful, and then of course and like there's an increase in your stress level when these I'm stress conscious now, but when these death vocals
Oh, you
come
are?
in,
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's a good thing.
Well, it could be.
But when those vocals comes in, it really challenges you as a listener, because you get kind of you get kind of like brutally waking up out of a sleep, because like I said, the first like 2.5 minutes were incredible, absolutely incredible. Silent. How are you experiencing the
I loved it
music?
because it started out like you said, it was like that slow burn.
Yeah.
And so I was just vibing with that, and then when it switched that vocal style, I was a little bit surprised also. I definitely would have liked to hear some female vocals at that same point in time. I think it would have been actually
Female vocals would have been insane.
So, so yeah, but it was well done. I loved the beautiful parts of it. I think that those beautiful parts, they really did those well. And I've grown to love the mix of the, well, I don't know. I kind of maybe have liked that since the beginning of the channel, when there was beautiful and dark vocals in the same area. So yeah, I like that. I like that brought into it. So they said, silent reflections start to shout. Shadows live their own lives. They move across and go beyond, onward towards slow oblivion. Northern winds won't bring relief. Western deserts don't let breathe. Eastern stars no longer lead. Southern swamps in morning bleed. Okay.
Just north, south, east,
Yeah,
west.
we just talking about the
Just
planet.
Suffering everywhere.
Yeah.
Silent reflections start to shout. So that's like you're chilling and you're just thinking about life. And, you know, you set the dial on what voices you hear in the day. So, like,
That's right.
you know, whatever the dial, you know, obviously, like, there are people that don't have internal dialogue, which to me is still crazy. But that's like a thing. But like you've got that. Most of us have that internal dialogue, and most of us have that subject or subjects that you purposely suppress because you don't want to deal with it. And sometimes they just catch up on you, unannounced and uninvited. So silent reflections start to shout. Shadows live their own lives. Now, that's an interesting thing because when you talk about shadows, you know, we've got some sort of combination of Jung,
I see what you're saying.
Jung and Christianity, right? Because the shadow self in Jungian philosophy is not necessarily the sinful nature in Christian philosophy. There's overlap, but they're not exactly the same thing. And so, however you interpret the term shadows, it could be either way in the Jungian sense or in the Christian sense or in any other sense.
It also could be when it says silent reflections start to shout, the shadows could be whatever the reflections were.
Right. That's almost certain because you're trying to. There's silent reflections, and there's the implication that you're trying to suppress these ideas, but then. That's one of the things, like, when I really go into philosophy of mind, where it's like, you have multiple persons within a person that are getting identified. And, like, we use terms like subconscious now, but when Freud first broached it, and it wasn't him, but when he popularized the idea of the concept of the subconscious, people were mocking him.
It's crazy
saying,
how often that happens.
People were saying, that's crazy. Yeah, it's almost every major sort of scientific and psychological sort of given that we believe in now was mocked when it was first broached, which kind of makes sense. But some of the things that happen when these things get accepted, when they become normalized, you almost miss the power of what they actually mean. Like I said this before, like people say, "Oh, dreams are just your subconscious trying to get you to face things that you were suppressing before," and it's like, "Oh, that makes a lot of sense," and it's like, do you understand what you just said? So there's a part of your mind that's like, we need to deal with this, Vincent, but you're not going to deal with it. You're going to use your other mind to suppress me and suppress my voice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till you fall asleep because for whatever reason, that part of your mind is defenseless and that's where I get to operate. So now I'm going to put all these images, I'm going to create an entire story and put all these images in your mind and simulate a reality that you don't know is a simulated reality in order for you to deal with this particular issue. That's what people are saying that dreams are. I don't know if all dreams are that, but like, that is crazy. The implication of that is so crazy that it makes sense to me that Freud got made fun of for that. Like, now you realize, like, when you really, like, say it out, it sounds crazy. And yet, that's what we're saying.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, like, that to me is just like, it's such a surreal feeling. Because, you know, one of the drawbacks of being an insomniac is you can't sleep. But one of the positives of being an insomniac is that you're up when nobody else is, and you get to really think. And you get to really think about thinking. And that is a topic that I explore a lot because it's so crazy to me. And then obviously to listen to other, you know, people who are experts in the field who are theorizing that you have active personalities and consciousnesses within you that make up you as a person. And there are people that on highest scientists in the world are telling us this stuff, and I'm just like, yo, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we? What is a human being really? There's a lot of depth to what we are as human beings, like definitely carbon-based life form, all that stuff, but there's a lot of really crazy shit happening in the human mind that's just insane to me. Triple suns produce less light, their warmth cannot ignite,
Yeah,
melted minds coexist in one body, they resist. They keep using the term 3 or the number 3 throughout this entire thing. Here it is again. Dissected into 3, they breathe, and like a tree, there is one root and independent branches. They live their lives despite all tensions. So it looks like he's talking about like humanity as a whole, and humanity has one root, right? We all have one root,
a bunch of branches,
but a bunch of different independent branches, and live their lives despite all these tensions. So it's like we're all one at the ground level. But the root of a tree is always beneath the ground. So the most important part of the tree is always invisible, right? And the more invisible it is, the stronger it is, because that means it's deeper, you know, the depth of the roots, it can suck up the nutrients and all the rest of it. But the most important part of the tree is invisible. And so it's like, when you look at humanity, you're seeing all these other branches, and it's like, this branch can look different than this branch, and it's like, oh, we're a better branch than you. And it's like, because we're operating at a superficial level of what we can see, because we can't see what's underneath that's upholding the tree and is giving life and sustenance to the tree, which is the root. Because if you look, because you have to go underneath to get to the root.
right?
You have to get underneath the surface to get to the root. So if I'm seeing a human being and he's projecting, let's say a guy like Donald Trump. Like, Donald Trump is an easy guy to forget that you're one with, because of how divisive he is, ironically speaking. And so you can forget that you and him are both human. You could forget that you and he both have the exact same root. Whatever you want to call, common ancestor, whatever. He's a Homo sapien, you're a Homo sapien. He's a son of Adam, you're a son of Adam. However you want to call it. But like, we forget that those people are, we're the same root as them under the surface. But a lot of us get jacked up on the aesthetics. So this guy shows up in a hood, or this guy showed up in the chat room and said some crazy racist shit. So he said some racist shit. So now, that's a branch that we just need to cut off and just throw away and not deal with. Instead of saying, well, that guy under the surface, the root, he and I are the same. So like, there are certain groups of people I do very good with that. Then there are other groups of people where I don't do good with that at all. There's certain groups I'm like, yeah, under the root, we're the same person. The other people I'm like, where's the chainsaw? We're just gonna shave this one off the fucking tree. Like, that's a really, really, really deep line. That's a really, really deep concept if you really think about it.
Then he says, like 3 dimensions, they exist. Under the thinnest domes, the multiverse is their execution. Is he talking about the parts of the tree? And that, you know, because we're talking about the root and then the independent branches. Maybe you go into the leaves after that, I don't know.
He said something about your atoms. Here it is. The cell is split into 3. The triple self in agony is lost and never rests. I just took that as a way of looking at the human constitution of body, soul, and spirit. You know, there's trichotomists that believe that humans are body, soul, spirit, and then there's dichotomists that believe just in the body and the soul, and that soul and spirit are interchangeable terms. So that's how I looked into it. The cell is split into 3, the triple self in agony. So your body, mind, and your entire being is in agony. Yeah,
and then he says the same are muscles, bones, and skin.
Yeah. Well, does it say skin or kin?
Oh, mine says skin.
Mine says kin. It could. That's very interesting. The same are muscles, bone, and skin. It never knows that it has been forgotten and always crashed in the dimension with no borders. It doesn't see the normal order of things around and deep within. Yeah, man. Yeah. You know, we're talking about, you know, you talk about aliens or whatever, and you know the common view up till recently was the extraterrestrial hypothesis, which is these guys are in a different galaxy, Alpha Centauri, whatever, and they figured out how to tear a wormhole through space and then get to us without having to travel, you know, 5,000 light years or whatever. that's one theory. Another theory is that these beings are operating in the same area or same hyperspace as us, but they're in a different dimension, because a hyperspace is an area in space where you can have multi-dimensional realities, right? So now it's like these beings are in hyperspace, and they can phase in and out and get to us, but we can't get to them. And you see the limitations here. In the dimension with no borders, it doesn't see the normal order of things around and deep within. So there are dimensions where the simplistic lines that we have are not there in the dimension with no borders, because the math and the physics and all the rest of that stuff in that dimension are different from this dimension. And so that's one of the main theories as to how these beings or these craft from these beings are violating our known laws of physics. And that's because they're not beholden. They're in a hyperspace where there are multiple dimensions beyond the 4 dimensions that we're occupying. And so when they engage with our dimension, obviously they're violating the rules of our physics because they're in another dimension. And so that's how you can harmonize these ridiculous, Mach 50, 90-degree turns that don't completely disintegrate the craft, much less the beings controlling it, is because they're operating in a different dimension than we are. And so you don't have to worry about that. But the point of all that is to say, like, none of that changes who human beings are. Muscles, Bone, and Kin is in the lyrics of the CD booklet. Yeah, that's really smart writing. Because you would say muscle, bone, and skin. Yeah. That makes absolute sense. But muscle, bone, and kin has other implications. Man, this song right here is crazy. It says, turn apart, he never knows what world is real, but is there a real world, and how could we understand?
Yeah. He brings up a lot of questions and kind of just leaves them there. This part, I'm just going to kind of bring it back to that because I kind of want to hear what you had to say. When he says, like 3 dimensions, they exist under the thinnest domes. The multiverse is their execution. Is he talking about, so like the tree is there, so they're all connected, but they're living in like different realities, even though they're all one? Because they're all connected to the one roots. But they're all, what's interesting too is roots look basically exactly like the tree on top. So they're just like there's a bunch of branches, there's a bunch of roots. But when we think roots, we always think of unity. But when we think branches, we think of individual.
Well, that's because the branches are expressed like outwardly, whereas a root kind of looks like you can kind of dig something up by the root as a singular thing.
Wow.
You can break up roots if you want to, but the branches kind of operate independently. Well, just aesthetically speaking, they look independent.
If you look, it usually mirrors.
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying.
But
the branches themselves, from what we can perceive, because he's talking about the perceptive world. He's talking about the world as we see it, as what we can perceive. The branches down there are perceived to be out there and independent by themselves. Whether or not they actually are is a different type of thing. The root, on the other hand, a lot of times that people are looking at aesthetically like as the trunk. So like if you were to take a tree, because that's our last frame of reference before it goes before it goes underground.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's interesting with looking
at it. Yeah. So like the song is crazy because it's dealing with
so interesting.
A lot of the realities that we deal with, while recognizing that it's almost certain that nothing that we see is the thing in itself at all. It's I would say it is certain, but I don't have the sophistication to do the math like Hoffman and the rest of them do. But it's almost certain that everything we see is not actually as it is. Like, you guys are looking at us right now, and everything you're looking at is a projection and a collection of pixels, and it's an illusion. And I was just listening. I mean, we're going to cover it in the Bible boogie, but Tyson, people were talking about DNA is information. So we had this discussion in the Bible boogie, like. Yeah. It's one thing to see like, oh, these are nice designs, in the sand. And we know it's not designs in the sand. It's just water and erosion and the tide and gravity. We all know that. But if you go to that same beach and the beach says, go here and get this key, and this key will unlock this gate, and then when you use the purple key and turn on the jet ski, that's how you, okay, that's something else.
Mm-hmm.
That's information.
Mm-hmm.
That's instruction. That's go here, do this, do that. That obviously needs an intelligence behind it. And all of us would assume there was an intelligence behind it without even having to. There's no argument. And so there are some things that you can just say, hey, that's gravity and all the rest of it. And it might look aesthetically pleasing, but there's no necessity for an intelligence behind it. But when you have DNA, which is information, that does necessitate intelligence. And that's where the whole panspermia thing came from. Panspermia is the idea that beings from other planets came and seeded the earth and particularly manipulated the human gene pool so as to create people like us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the reason that came up was because once they looked inside a cell and DNA, they said, well, this is information.
Yeah.
This is like a computer program. How the hell are we going to say that information evolved? That's
I mean, when you look at those designer babies where they take the DNA strand and they genetically mess with it to give you exactly what you want. You want blue eyes, you want this, they genetically mess with it.
Yeah.
That's like they literally just switched out the codes.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's like the video game thing when you can go and pick your friggin' character.
Yeah. That's exactly right. And these people want us to believe, oh, that just seems randomly. Okay. That's like the homie said.
Lucky you found a random code.
He said, you got to grant me one miracle first. He's talking about the origin of life.
Yeah.
He's like, you just got to give me one miracle. Hell no, I'm not giving you no miracles. You don't believe in miracles.
Yep, that's
where all the information come from. Get out of here. I love this song. This is another 10 for me, actually.
Oh, wow.
Frozen Moon is like probably the worst. There's only one song that we've reviewed that's worse than Frozen Moon. And that song was so bad because it was so good. And Frozen Moon was so bad because it was so bad. We were able to finish the Frozen Moon song, though. I'll tell you what, the commentary in Frozen Moon or Freezing Moon, whatever it was like some of the best. Like some of the best. Like you could tell those people were genuinely hurt that we didn't... and we didn't like their... They were genuinely wounded that we didn't like their whack ass song. Come on, bro. That song was trash, bro.
9.4 for this one for me.
This is a 10 for me. This is a really, really good song. Anybody that does the sciencey stuff.
No, I mean 9.6. This is
9.6. Ben, I think Ben knows my mind. That's the thing. He's like, we're gonna give him a. Was it Freezing Moon? Did we call it Freezing Moon? I think we called it Freezing Moon.
What was it?
It's called Frozen Moon, but it was Freezing Moon. Yeah, like those people, they really believe that those insults were gonna really hurt. They're like, it's freezing, Frozen Moon, you idiots, you stupid.
Oh Christians. Yeah, I think I put the thumbnail wrong or something.
Oh yeah, we did, and then they took that personal, we did that shit on purpose. It's like,
it's just
we didn't. We didn't do it on purpose. We just not gonna lie to y'all. I'm sorry, the song's trash. It's a trash song. This was a 10 though.
All right, you guys, 9.6 for me.
We got another song coming down on the other side of the break. Dear listener, Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. Frozen Moon.
I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish. Rubbish.
That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing. But,
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
you start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 here and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch. Indeed, it's how selling them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We have reached the end, my friends. Unfortunately.
DJ Ben has picked this stream and hosted this stream tonight, and he still has one more song for us all to enjoy.
You beautiful people.
I wonder whose song, or who's going to get named this time. Because each time he picks a song on this stream, it's been because he was inspired by one of the villagers' previous picks.
Well, he just said
Let's
it.
see. Oh, he
I
said it.
love this next band oh so much. Thank you, Controller of Mine / Northern Scoundrel. I will definitely have to do some songs from their 2023 album sometime. So there it goes. Northern Scoundrel was the inspiration for this song.
So, DJ Ben says, Northern Scoundrel got this song, In Sacred Delusion, featured in the first Alliance stream of the year 2024, and I was floored. I can't believe I had never heard this band. It was simply superb and beautiful. Melodic death metal. Thank you so much, dude. I bought this entire discography because of that pick.
Holy hell.
This is Death of the Cosmic from that same EP.
People are like,
Yeah, so
everybody in the village
if you're
is
the
like
band,
the same. We're all
get
the
us
same.
whitelisted.
We're all the same person.
We're making you money.
We are so extreme. We bought the entire discography.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
That's how we are. That's how we get down. We're
How would
real
you say
metalheads in this organization, dear listener.
Hinayana?
Yeah.
Hinayana?
Hinayana.
Death of the Cosmic.
I'm going to put the Canadian flag over here. The other Canadian flag over here.
Look at
Because we got to
that.
celebrate the Canadians' birthdays. Because you know how we get down. We got love for everybody. Got love for everybody. Okay. You guys ready?
We are ready.
Here we go.
Death of the Cosmic.
Death of the Cosmic. Let's do it. Woo. I love it already. Whoo!
Wow.
That band I thought was coming straight from Europe somewhere. Denmark. Nope. Tejas. Texas.
No kidding.
Texas.
What?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure these guys are from Texas.
That's wild. Okay.
So you look like you were really vibing. What was going on with you?
I
in
mean,
that song?
I didn't go with the lyrics, so you'll have to break down the lyrics. But I thought it was so beautiful. It was like it was so entrancing, like journey taking. I literally liked everything about it. I liked the way that there was some of the notes, they were just so like clear.
Yeah.
And they just like kind of came through, and then there was like the other sounds going on beneath. I don't know. I liked the way that they stacked it. And that guitar work was really good too. It reminded me of sometimes when you get really going. Like there's different ways that you get really going. Some of it's like obviously the fast tremolo stuff like that. But then there's other times where you kind of like bend the strings and stuff like that.
Yeah. You like all the emotional stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
There
was
shit.
of all the lines, I did see one of them. Was talking about the what? Okay, well, you know what? You can It was basically saying, oh, right there, and let the emptiness set in motion a calling to the light. So I don't know what any of the song is about. I just happened to see that line, and I kind of clamped onto that one. I really liked.
Why?
That one.
What about that? What did that mean?
What to me? But again, I don't know what the rest of the song says. That part is like, I feel like that all of us. Okay, so if we're made in the image and likeness of God, and the reason that we're made is that we're to know God, like that's the whole thing. Like that's the to know Him and the power of His resurrection, and so we as human beings get this opportunity to know the divine, and like He wants us to know Him too. So there's this like you're going back and forth in this like all this sort. Anyway, so if we're made for that, that means if we don't live in that capacity, then there's going to be this sort of loneliness, emptiness feeling that you're not going to be able to shake. If you're, you know, in your honest moments, because if you take a, you know what I mean? Like, I think if you take a dolphin out of the water and you put him in a tank, I think he's going to feel something's missing there, you know? And that's why we all like to see like a horse taking off on the, you know, when you see an animal or something else in its element and it's going full out in its glory, we're all drawn to that. So I think that if we're all we're all made for that. So when He says, and let the emptiness set in motion a calling to the light, Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And he also compares Himself to the light. And so when it says like let the emptiness set in motion a calling to the light, I think that when we go through painful experiences or we feel that emptiness or that darkness inside of us, it's almost like it's energy and it's the potential of what could be. So when that energy starts, it's like, okay, which way are we going to spin this? Like the energy's going somewhere. It's like when you have an adrenaline rush and then nothing happens and that adrenaline is still there, and then you're likely to, act or say or do something out because that adrenaline never got dealt with. But so I think that this energy, I think that God allows that or sends that energy so that way it does set things in motion, and the idea is that it would turn us toward that light. So that was what I got from that line, let the emptiness set in motion a calling to the light, that it would spark. And you hear people say that, like people will be like, when I hit rock bottom, that's what I called out to God. So those lines kind of stuck out to me like that, where, I guess being a part of this community and listening to so many different songs within this genre, you just realize that depression is a real thing that people deal with. And darkness is also a real thing that people have to contend with. And some of it gets so palatable in this community that it's like that depression is a person sitting in the room with people, so I don't know. I think that realizing that you can take that energy and that potential and you can spin it toward good or toward darkness, and we're like, we cause the next stage of our lives in a sense by the decisions and the choices that we make in this moment, and especially in moments of feeling high or no. It's interesting because the emptiness is actually filled with something, and it's filled with pain usually.
Yeah.
So it's emptiness, but it's filled. But yeah, I don't know what the rest of the song was about. It was also a spiritual song for me, obviously because of those lines and just like musically what they did with it. It just.
Well, that line I figured you'd jump on, where it says,
I didn't look at the rest of the lyrics, so.
How many years has it been since you've forgiven yourself for yesterday?
I did see that one.
So I was wondering what you were going to say about that line right there.
How many years has it been since you've forgiven yourself for yesterday? I actually did see that line and forgot about it till you brought it up. Yeah, I think that's I thought that one was interesting because he said he didn't like usually people stop with have you forgiven yourself, but he says for yesterday. Mm-hmm. And so that to me was like,
that's a crazy line though. How many years has it been since you've forgiven yourself for yesterday? One
day's events, but it's taken years for you to forgive yourself. That's true though.
Well, because a lot of times how could you forgive yourself for years over something that happened just yesterday? See what I'm saying? How many years has it been since you've forgiven yourself for yesterday?
Well,
That's a crazy line.
I thought that what he was saying was, you know how there'll be like something feels like it was yesterday, even though it wasn't. It was years ago. Especially if it's something that you haven't forgiven yourself for, it's fresh as anything. So when he said, how many years has it been since you know, I just took it as it's been a long time that you've been harboring this unforgiveness for yourself for something that only took one day to do.
Well, if space-time doesn't really exist, then you can live in one moment for years and never progress past that moment.
Yep.
Because
that's interesting.
Usually the way we account, just like the distance isn't real,
mm-hmm.
you know, between, 5 billion, neither is the time. And that's why the term space-time is used. A lot of people think space and time are separate. And that's not relatively. It's space-time. So, yeah, that's true. So just like we say, we can be separated by billions of miles, but we're really not because we're in the same room. You can be separated by billions of years. It's the same exact concept.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can live in yesterday for years if your life never progresses.
Yeah.
And like that's a very insightful thing. And it's true. Like, how many years has it been since you've forgiven yourself for yesterday? And I was listening to Ron Brown's father. So Ron Brown was a dude that got killed with Nicole Brown Simpson. And he was the boy toy that she was hanging around with when they ran into OJ, I'm assuming, and he died. And the Brown family were pretty good about advocating for their brother, their son, and giving press conferences almost every day. I mean, the whole OJ trial was a complete circus. I mean, now that I'm a father myself and I have children, like, I can't imagine like what that whole family was going through. But the thing finally got done. He got found not guilty or whatever, and they were asking about like, can you forgive OJ for what happened or whatever? And he said, whether or not he's forgiven is up to God. I don't have jurisdiction over that. But it was basically him saying, hell no, I'm not going to forgive him.
And forgive him for what? He said he didn't do anything.
Yeah, but most of us thought OJ was guilty. Like, I think I think he did.
Well, I do too. But like, if he's not saying, like, it's just a weird, like, the guy didn't even acknowledge it, but they're asking him if he's willing to forgive it. That's like a crazy, like, somebody does all this stuff. They're not they're just saying they didn't even do it, and they're mocking the whole thing. And,
right. Well, yeah, I think everybody was really just concerned about his mental health, though, because, I mean, he was...
The father?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he was... Yeah, I mean,
my God.
They were extreme. I mean, it was very, very emotional, and I think people were just like... Yeah, I think some of it, what it was like collective guilt of the nation, because on the one hand, like, this is a horrible situation that happened, but on the other hand, it was like primetime news. It was everything, everybody was talking about it. It was, people would rush home to watch it. It was just like a TV show to people.
I mean, even I was hearing about it.
And then you just saw the fallout of this guy, this father.
Oh my God.
And I think, now that it was over, kind of America's looking at themselves and being like, oh, So now it was like, hey man, do you want to just forgive him? Because now we're looking at it like, oh man, you got a pretty hard life ahead of you. And so it was like, hey, would you, get a nice little bow to put it on there. Him throw out some religious thing about forgiving OJ for killing his kid or whatever. He was like, he basically said, hell no, I'm not going to forgive him. He, and like,
man.
but it was a crazy moment to watch because the environment that I grew, especially in a Christian environment, like you're supposed to forgive, and it's like, oh, of course I'm going to forgive, and that's one of the reasons why like I don't make the kids say I forgive you in the situation. It was because of that little news clip.
No kidding, really?
Yeah, because I was like, wait a sec, because again, it was like, I forgive you. We're Christians, we forgive people, blah, blah, blah. So I know there are a bunch of times when I did forgive, people, but you just had to say it, And so like, that was like one of the first times when I saw somebody say, hell no, I'm not going to forgive that person. And he dressed it up in religion. He said, that's for God to do, whatever. But that really stuck with me. Like, when it comes to the concept of forgiveness and forgiving people, I still think it's the best thing mental health wise.
That's the thing
to do.
That's
but
the thing.
But I also think that a lot of times society wants us to forgive a certain thing, not because they're looking for reconciliation, but because they just don't want to have to deal with this problem.
Yeah.
They just want to move forward. And so like you see it, with black people and what they've gone through in this country. You had people like Ben Shapiro saying, get over it, blah, blah, blah. Then some shit happens to their people. Now all of a sudden it's, oh, wow. Look at all the things we've suffered throughout history. It's like, wait a second, weren't you telling us that historical suffering wasn't relevant? Now all of a sudden it's relevant because it's happened to your people? So I look at the Palestinians and it's like, are these people supposed to forgive the Israelis for what they did to them? Or are they supposed to forgive Americans for being so apathetic to their suffering? I don't think we can demand that of those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you demand something like that out of people that you contributed to their destruction, and like they mean so little to you that you don't even think about them throughout the day most of the time? But they're supposed to forgive. Forgiveness is a hell of a thing, man. And I think that, one of the first questions anybody ever asked me once they found out that we were Christians and we did a live stream is, why couldn't God just have forgiven us? Why did Jesus have to die this horrible, terrible, brutal death, beaten beyond human recognition, et cetera, et cetera? And, I said, that's because we have people that assault women. We have people that harm children in every way possible. We have children who then go to school and mock other children incessantly to the point where the other kid wants to jump off a bridge. And like, how do we square all those circles, man? Do we just say like, yeah, man, like, that happened and I'm going to forgive myself and you ought to forgive me too, and everybody goes on with their life? I think God's saying, you know what? In the cross, I see God saying, I'll forgive you for anything, but we're not gonna use forgiveness as a methodology of looking away from the shit that we've done to God and to each other. And the cross makes you say, yep, you need forgiveness, but you got to look this ugliness in the face. We took the best person possible and did the worst thing possible to him. So for us to be forgiven, it's God is forcing us to look at that ugliness. You look at a crucified Jesus beaten beyond human recognition. And as a Christian, I go back to the cross so many times in the day, so many times in the week. And the unfairness of that action, the injustice, I've had people say shit about me publicly that wasn't true, blah, blah, blah. And you're some giant victim. No, you're not. Just relax, man. You'll be okay. But like, I think self-forgiveness is absolutely important. But I think a lot of us know that some of the shit that we've done has to go beyond, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What can we say to a Palestinian mother? What can we say to a Palestinian father? What can we say to an Afghani child? What can we say to a Yemeni child? What can we say to a Ukrainian child? What can we say to a Russian child? Like, these are all things that that we deal with on a regular basis, that we see on the news, we're very, very quick to forgive ourselves or the people that we love, or we just ignore what we did. And I just think that, and that's one of the reasons why it's so crazy to me to see Christians, and I'm not going to say they're not real Christians. For all intents and purposes, they're real Christians who truly don't give a fuck about these Palestinian people, bro. They don't care. They truly don't care.
I can't.
And that is a good, that's the better portion of that group. Because the other portion of that group is like, that's right, the Israelis should have done this a decade ago. There's Christians that are saying that. And no, I'm not going to say they're not real Christians. I believe they're real Christians. They're real Christians saying that shit. Okay? If God's going to forgive us for what we did to those, I mean, we deserve to go to hell just for what we've seen in the last 7-8 months over there. Just for that. But yeah, like, that's why, like, the Christian story has always resonated with me, man, because the climax and the forgiveness portion is ugly. And it's bloody and it's brutal. And I'm saying, yeah, because forgiveness is the only way that the world can continue. And yet it's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
Because we don't know how to apologize properly. It's very hard to forgive a person who won't apologize. And so, like, I don't know how those people in the Middle East are supposed to function, man. I'm an American. We don't, like, there's whole categories of psychological experiences that Americans don't even have. So, like, I don't even know, what can we possibly do? Like, let's say we stopped all of our imperial actions from now to the rest of eternity. Like, what can we do? And I'm not, you know, in a couple days, all of us are going to say, God bless America, America this, America that, because it's going to be 4th of July. We're all going to, all the individualist Americans who are like, I'm just my own person. Man, it doesn't matter how far right you are. All those people are going to be collectivists in a couple days on the 4th of July. Okay, so if we're going to be collectivists on a holiday, then I'm going to be collectivist when my country is doing all this shit to me. We don't get to be Americans on the 4th of July and then individuals when we see our country bombing the shit out of these people and murdering them in horrific fashion. Like, we don't get to say, like, oh, well, that's those people. Those Christians. Those are not real Americans. Those are not real Christians. No, there are people through and through. And we got to identify with them. Period. I'm going to identify with America on the 4th of July. That means you have to identify with America at the 3rd of July, 9/11, etc., etc. And so, like, anytime a song comes out with forgiveness and things like that, like, that's a really deep issue. And a lot of the reasons that y'all can't forgive yourself is that you don't have the jurisdiction. Because at the end of the day, you're the criminal. You imagine if OJ got on TV and said, yeah, you know, I really struggled with what I did, but, you know, I've forgiven myself. We'd be like, who the right? So, like, all of us are OJ to a certain degree. And so it's like, you know what? I'm going to not forgive myself because I'm never going to penalize myself the way that I should be penalized. It doesn't matter how much you say you, quote, hate yourself. Go ahead and go without water for a day and see how much you hate yourself. Mm-hmm. You don't hate yourself. No matter what you think, you don't hate yourself. I promise you. Go without water for a day and you'll see how much you love yourself to death. You love yourself more than you know. So, like, you're not qualified even to forgive yourself. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to say, well, Jesus was brutalized beyond human recognition. And he did that because I've done things that are not recognizable as human acts. Right? So I've done things that are inhumane acts. And so that's why Jesus had to be beaten beyond human recognition. And if you were to see these kids, when you pick them up and the parents are picking them up and they just look like parts, they don't even look human anymore, that's why Jesus had to die like that, to forgive those people. So, about 10 to 15 years ago, it was really cool to talk about, like, divine child abuse and the crucifixion, and you had theologians coming up with, like, new ways of looking at the cross, and let me shut the fuck up. We don't need another way to look at it. No. As long as I keep seeing videos like that, parents digging out their kids' faces from the side of a building. Now I need a bloody cross, man. I need a bloody cross to forgive people for doing that.
You know what? The other thing too about the cross is that Isaiah 53 talks about by his wounds we are healed. And so the cross was not only about the punishment or the penalty for sin, but it was also about the healing. And when I see those faces from Palestine, just like they're still shots, you know, and the people are like pain just coming out of their faces, their mouths wide open, just so much pain. I'm like, that's also why we need the cross, because that's Jesus is the one that can heal us, and it's gonna take the healing of a supernatural to fix these wounds that we've given to each other and ourselves. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, and you know, that's why I always say God is really present at these metal shows, because these, to me, right now, for the times we're in, only metal can address the times that we're in. I like definitely a rap, you know, but I'm talking about like really hitting the nerve. Right now, only metal, in my view, has the capacity to get us the broad range of emotions that are necessary. Because you've got the screaming, the yelling, the singing, the whispering, it's every sort of
it kind of captures all the emotions of the facets of us.
And it's only metal that can do it.
And then there's the beautiful sounds to it, and they're capturing a lot in it.
Yeah, there's only metal. Only metal can get us here at this point in human history. And so, you know, if I was running a church right now, there'd be a steady diet of heavy metal songs that we would be singing at the top of our lungs, because, man,
I believe you.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
All right.
Great song. It's a great song. It's a 9.7 for me.
This was a 9.9 for me.
Really good song.
There was a question posted up on the Rumble side. It said, which heavy metal band was often credited with pioneering the sub-genre known as thrash metal in the early 1980s?
Metallica. It's got to be Metallica.
Yes, it was a very simple one. It was Metallica, but unfortunately, nobody answered the question, so nobody wins.
Oh my God! If you guys would have answered the question, oh man, you guys gotta stay awake on that Rumble shit, bro.
Shout out to DJ Ben for having this amazing stream for us.
Yeah, Ben, yeah, this is the most 10s I've given. I gave out 2 back-to-back 10s. I haven't done 10s in a long time. So, shout out to Benji. This was a great show.
Actually, this one I had as a 10, so this one's a 10 for me. I don't know why I switched.
Hey, Pony, thanks for hanging out. And yeah, we're definitely going to hit that in the Bible Boogie for sure. Okay, guys.
All right, you guys, have no fear. There are more streams on the way. On the 5th of July is our next scheduled one, but you never know when all of a sudden another one will pop up. So jump on Patreon and check out the list. Should be up pretty soon of what all of our streams are in July.
So good to see Revo. Shout out to Revo in this
what's up, Revo? Oh, I forgot to message you back.
and Pony's gonna text you as well.
Okay,
so
all right,
get your phone up.
All right.
Hey, shout out to the big homie DJ Ben. As always, controller of minds in the place. Thank you guys all for coming through. We love you all. If we don't see you by the 5th, happy 4th of July. Enjoy yourself as Americans, and say a prayer or put up some energy, whatever you want to do for them Palestinians, man. It is what it is. I love my country, but, you know, we love everybody, right? So, there you go. Vin out.
Sori out.
Go.